we go. We see Tyson go down. It's just going to be Blackhand. Yasto goes down. Enemy does not manage to do it. It's going to be Blackhand taking game one.
Blackhand.
What a crazy finish.
Blackhand came out of nowhere for that.
Blackhand end up sliding in here, finding one and likely finding a second. Kapao gets the knock with the bow, turns it around, and takes himself yet another kill.
But we see Renegades having to drop down. But Nightmare goes down first. Luminosity loses a member, and we see Renegades pushing it to make sure they can take it. And they do! Renegades coming out on top. The only team to win 2 matches.
I'm watching the kill feed, and I don't see a knock, but Atlanta Premier know exactly what's happening. They
Double
find
crack.
Flesh yet again, and it's going to be the full send. Kirk pops up top with the Massive, gets that initial knock onto Sticks. It's 1 down for Atlanta Premier. Make it 2, and Atlanta Premier rip this game out of the clutches of Blackhand.
Welcome back, everybody, to day 2 of the Nerd Street Champs Finals. My name is Artie, and I'm joined here by the absolute legends, Dia and Zeph. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm just as excited as yesterday, but more than happy to see how things start to finish out here.
Absolutely. Yesterday was intense. Dia?
No, I was just going to say they need to see the art. They can barely see Pathfinder
yeah,
over here. Look at this. Our local artist, Zephyr, has drawn depictions of 2 of the least played legends in this entire tournament.
Hey, we had a Pathfinder,
win
yesterday.
2 of the least played legends in this entire tournament. What's happening right here? It's like no one listens to me.
We don't listen. I listen quite heavily.
I'm going to erase this now.
But yeah, no, yesterday was intense. Blackhand, they dominated World's Edge. Atlanta contested, Nightmare, they all won some on Store Point. But actually, we got a video to recap yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a look at all of the carnage yesterday for day 1 on LAN. And there we go. We see Tyson go down. It's just going to be Blackhand. Yasto goes down. Enemy does not manage to do it. It's going to be Blackhand taking game 1.
Blackhand.
What a crazy finish.
Blackhand came out of nowhere for that.
Blackhand end up sliding in here, finding one and likely finding a second. Kapao gets the knock with the bow, turns it around, and takes himself yet another kill.
But we see Renegades having to drop down. But Nightmare goes down first. Luminosity loses a member, and we see Renegades pushing it to make sure they can take it. And they do! Renegades coming out on top. The only team to win 2 matches.
I'm watching the kill feed, and I don't see a knock, but Atlanta Premier know exactly what's happening. They
Double
find
crack.
Flesh yet again, and it's going to be the full send. Kirk pops up top with the Massive, gets that initial knock onto Sticks. It's 1 down for Atlanta Premier. Make it 2, and Atlanta Premier rip this game out of the clutches of Blackhand.
It really was intense out there yesterday, but it's time to talk about today. Let's take a look at the format for our last day here at the Nerd Street Champs Finals. We'll be starting off with 2 drops on World's Edge, where teams will be fighting to reach the match point threshold of 70. Then we'll be dropping on Storm Point for match point. If a team has crossed that threshold, wins, they will be able to win the first place prize here at Nerd Street Champs. However, should a team under that point threshold take the dub on Storm Point, we'll continue with more matches and more chances for the underdogs. If there is going to be a tie, that tiebreaker will be decided by best overall game, then the amount of wins, and then their overall points. So, good thing to say here is that this match point format was something that was agreed to by Atlanta Premier, Blackhand, and all the other teams here in Philly. So, just, to make sure that everybody has had a good shot for the grand prize. So, huge shout out to all the players and our Comp Ops team for helping to truly make the most of their time here in the city of brotherly love. But now let's talk about the grand prize. Dia, so what are these teams fighting for?
Okay, so this is match point format. So first place is going to go to not necessarily the team with the most points, but the team that wins that final game. They're going to get $5,000. The team with second place will walk away with the $2,500, $1,500 going to third place, and a nice clean $1,000 going to fourth. I think the important thing here to impress is that there is the opportunity in match point format for the team with the most points to not walk away with the victory, and that's the thing that catches a lot of people off guard. It's why we have those tiebreakers that you talked about earlier. Those won't apply to first place, but it will apply to second, third, and fourth.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely good to know. We are having a lot of teams that are just right next to each other in terms of points. But, Zeffy Boy, Dia-sama, Atlanta Premier and Blackhand, they have been killing it so far, but what about the others? Let's talk about the other teams here.
Okay. Well, Currently right now in our standings, we have some notables such as RCO, Nightmare, who, albeit may not be on match point yet, are fairly close. You can see from our leaderboard here, still only roughly about 18 to 20 points away, which I think is more than feasible to find your way toward that threshold within the 2 games that they still have available before we kind of leash the rampant wolves that are Black Hand and Atlanta Premier onto the rest of the crowd.
I mean, looking at this leaderboard right now, I think the standout has to be Tyson. They were a team that people expected a lot of coming into today, and coming into this weekend. They've had a rough weekend. It's been tough for them, especially in the first day, but I don't doubt that they're going to have good games on the second. My question is just whether they'll be good enough in time, because they're lagging so far behind in those points. I'm expecting to see the Tyson that I was hoping for on day 1. I just don't know if it'll be quick enough for them to slide into those prized positions.
Definitely. They've got the chance, though. And the biggest thing to note here, too, though, is that the very first 2 games are going to be World's Edge. And Black Hand dominates on World's Edge. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a long road ahead, but it's a road that is definitely going to be walkable.
Right. I think at the end of the day here, though, we at least make that movement towards Storm Point once we finally have the opportunity, of course, for these teams who, we'll say, haven't been as consistent to maybe walk away within that chaos there. And Tyson definitely distributing what I would say is probably one of the most chaotic game plans that might come into today. Technically, no one can hear me, and I hope no one's watching the stream, but the general idea is they've said it might be a little too difficult to hit that match point camp. They're definitely still going to be trying, but especially once we get into Game 3, Black Hand and Atlanta Premier's drop spots look pretty tasty.
Fingers crossed that we get some of that action. I know that on stream we've got us sort of walking through the studio right now. You can actually see us in the background. I raised my hands. But you're getting a chance to look at some of the squads. We started off with Temple right now on RCO. I am actually really gunning for RCO today. I think they're going to have a much better showing than they did just yesterday. But to go back to the very first team that we saw, Temple, they've got a goal that I think is perhaps a lot more feasible. Zephyr, Artie, you may have heard this. Temple, don't think they're going to win. That's not what they're aiming for. It's been tough. They want 1 kill. Yeah. 1 kill today. And I think they can do it.
1 kill. That's what they're going for. I think that they can do it. I think they can pull that off.
I think that's
it's doable. It's winnable.
I think there's many accomplishments to be had here, and finding 1 kill is not only something that Temple is looking for at this current point. We've had definitely some struggles for these teams as they've had to compete against the gods that exist here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I noticed you're holding up the Black Hand sign.
Correct.
Atlanta Premier, I mean, they're actually the ones in first. Do you think Black Hand has been more dominant than Atlanta Premier?
I feel like, so this was something that I was going to discuss kind of moving forward, but
Sure.
I guess we can jump into it. Black Hand has obviously displayed their success on what they have practiced, right? And that is most notable, especially with Voltic joining alongside them, what is a bit more of an aged IGL, someone who wasn't quite playing during the Storm Point meta, if you catch my drift here. And that's exactly where we saw Black Hand fall off, and that's when Atlanta Premier began to swoop in. I'm personally hoping that Black Hand, currently sitting only 12 points behind, now with a little bit of the practice, the knowledge of some of these other teams here, and obviously a little bit of the Storm Point, especially with Voltic now getting that in as well, are able to contribute to a more advantageous kind of competitive victory for themselves. Because at the end of the day, we both know it's not going to be World's Edge that they're fighting for that win, where they are more dominant.
That's true, because the first 2 games are taking place on World's Edge, so it is that match point where perhaps Black Hand find themselves at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Absolutely, but we are going to be seeing a lot more of that right now as this game is starting as we speak. So let's go ahead and toss it to our casters. We've got Tessa and Yeso right over in the back there, and we're ready to see what these teams are going to be able to pull off. So take it away, casters.
Thank you to the analyst desk. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here into the caster booth for the start of our final day of competition here at Nerd Street Champs. My name is Yeso. I'm joined by Thousand Eyes here as we get ready for our first couple of games here. we're heading to World's Edge. And with all of the excitement we had yesterday, how are you feeling coming into today?
I'm actually pretty excited. I know that we've had like a bunch of domination from Blackhand and Atlanta Premier.
Sure.
I wouldn't expect much difference on World's Edge, but then we talk about like how Stormpoint went, and we look at the winners of Stormpoint, and it was really not AP or Blackhand. So there's I think, yeah, there's going to be some, like, they can't win on World's Edge. We're going to Stormpoint no matter what. And the fact that those teams didn't actually, pull off wins there, I think at least gives us an opportunity to see a couple more games today than just like, all right, we hit match point and it's already done.
I agree. Stormpoint definitely felt like the great equalizer on day one. We had 3 different winners. It was AP, Contested, and then Nightmare to close the day. Blackhand was definitely not the same team on Stormpoint yesterday, though it is hard to carry that kind of insane momentum that they had, right? You win 3 games in a row in World's Edge, and I think it's easy to get a little complacent after that. I imagine we will see a refocused, reinvigorated Blackhand here to start the day, and we are back on World's Edge for our first game of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It is our pleasure to welcome you to the start of the final day here. We've been battling all summer long. We will have a Nerd Street Summer Champs champion here on the day, and I cannot wait. There is your circle. We are pulling fairly far south here to start things off. We'll have to see where that next one goes. The hot zone is at Lava Siphon, and we got a few teams in the area.
Yeah, we do, but I think what interests me the most is that Revenge all the way up in Climatizer. Look at how much space they have there. They can go from Climatizer all the way down to Fragment and loot all of that for free. Fragment is open for them.
Fragment is open. Also, one of the most interesting things for me today is going to be the fact that, I got a lot of time to walk around and talk with a lot of different teams yesterday after the games as well as today. And, of course, the adjustment to the way that the format is going to work does open up some opportunities for the squads outside of that top 2. And a lot of different teams have told me different approaches. Some squads are going to play zone. They're just going to play for placement. They're close enough that they feel like, hey, within 2 games, if we just play slow, play deliberately, we can get to that match point threshold by game 3, and who knows what happens there. Other squads, they've got some more ground to make up, and they may be a little bit more selective about their rotations, because you have to remember, coming into this, everybody knows exactly where Blackhand and Atlanta Premier are going to be to start the game, so you can craft those strategies around trying to avoid them. Because it felt like at least the first 4 games yesterday, we were going, okay, Blackhand fight here, AP fight there, Blackhand fight here, all the way down to the end when they fought each other. So these teams are going to try and have to work around these squads that have been so dominant so far this weekend.
I mean, the other thing to remember, too, is that we've had Blackhand and AP, they were literally chasing people past other teams to kill teams.
Good old Crook on Stormpoint.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Blackhand did it too on World's Edge. They just chased into the ring past Nightmare to kill. I don't even remember who it was, but I talked specifically. I remember I talked with RCO earlier today and Sleepy Panda, and they were saying like, yeah, we're like 20 points off. We have 2 like good games where we stay in zone, get a couple kills. We're on match point 2, and RCO feel really confident about that because they like to play zone. They're not an edge team. They want to focus on just getting there, holding their spot, and getting something out of that then. So I think, honestly, RCO are feeling pretty good about today as long as these first 2 games don't go poorly for them.
Yeah, and RCO and Nightmare both in a very similar position, right? You get into the top 3 in both games and pick up 6 kills. That's enough to get you across that threshold, and we'll have to see how well they can play around that strategy here today. But we are taking a nice look here at Tree. Let's really focus in. 12 squads alive right now, and we see Tyson getting ready to duke it out. A wonderful beauty shot here, panning through Tree. We'll jump into Oxy Aries' POV, and a nice look at the Tyson squad there here in the local host venue in downtown Philadelphia. We'll have to see Tyson, a team that struggled yesterday. They were winning, it felt like 1 or 2 fights per game, but they really struggled to break into a lot of top 5s. We'll have to see if they could settle in here today and get that. AP, though, in the area. They found Nightmare.
Yeah, and that's actually really big because Nightmare and RCO are the 2 teams that are kind of just in that shooting range of 2 games can get us in. That's not a good start.
That is not a good start. Enemy has hunted you down with that Volt. The 30-30 doing some work as well. Crook going to get the knock onto one, and now they're looking for more. The high ground here working for Atlanta Premier. They've got
Tyson.
so much vision over the area. Meanwhile, we see Brick Wall flying over
out.
the POI, I should say, heading over to Harvester, said, screw that. I don't want to mess around with any of these teams. And I don't blame them on this one. We'll jump right back into Atlanta Premier's POV. Of course, their newest member, Enemy, a big part of why they were so successful yesterday. And it really felt like the squad was giving Enemy the freedom, the leeway to play how he wanted to play confidently, aggressively. And it definitely went so well for AP yesterday. I expect much the same today.
I mean, I think it was clear that they were saying, you know what, Enemy, you've got the goods.
Yes.
Just go. Like, we will support you. And, like, it is supporting the enemy, really. That phrasing was not good, but you got my point.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. The enemy on my team is my
yes.
friend. As we do check in, RCO already have a point, it seems. So I guess they got oh no, wait, no, we're placement points. Brain, because not sure already eliminated so far, and now, I mean, we to just kind of go back to Nightmare losing a member already. Like we said, that's really big in terms of them getting points to actually be on match point when that does unlock on Storm Point. So now Nightmare have to really pull together some rat tactics, because I don't think there is a world in which they can pick up that banner and get that player back in. Revenge, another team that I think has an opportunity with some good games to get up at least towards that match point. And if we continue going, like this is a team that we have seen do really well when they pop off. It's just about getting that right fight for them.
Yeah, and I think another question to ask, too, is, like, how is the playstyle going to shift for Atlanta Premier and Black Hand when we get to Storm Point? Because then we will know we are on match point. They have the opportunity to take it all. Do they slow things down? Does that open up opportunities for these squads on their heels to make something happen? That'll be a ton to talk about when we head to Storm Point. But we're still here in our first game on World's Edge, and Tyson trying to get things rolling. They've already got a couple points to their name in this game, and a lot of squads starting to circle around here. You see Ronnie and the squad getting into the area. This is pulling very close here, surrounding Lava Siphon. And you can see on the southern part, you see AP and Black Hand in the area. We could get some action down here very soon.
No, that is Nightmare, I believe.
In the middle, but we see on both sides.
No, I mean, like, it is Nightmare.
They're caught between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah, you don't want to be there. And I'm also just, like, curious how I was curious going in today how Black Hand and Atlanta Premier are going to play today, because these first two games are kind of not really important to them. They're not really caring because they're already at the point where it's just like we're just waiting for match point to unlock.
I mean, if you're Atlanta Premier, you're just trying to gatekeep your biggest threats. You want to keep RCO and Nightmare at arm's length, and they'll see what we can do here. Hill gonna take the zip, has the wingman in hand as well as the flatline. Low health on this player, shield's broken, but the battery gonna come through, and those shots from the charge rifle will discourage any further push. Meanwhile, Crook up with that scout, still holding the high ground here south of the Lava Siphon. Will get a couple shots off. Hill gonna be able to get a bat off down here and get back to the high ground with his team. Meanwhile, amidst all the action, Team Int taken out. McLovin falling there. Scully, so that is a few more KP here. We check in with Black Hand. Yasto got that R301 in hand with the 3X. I am a big fan. Crutch is life, in my opinion. We'll see how what Yasto can do with it here. Also, have to shout out, and we talked about it a lot over the last day, Voltic jumping into the Black Hand roster. They did not miss a beat whatsoever. Crazy to think with GOAT stepping down so soon before this tournament that Black Hand come in and it performed exactly as expected. Shub gonna get the high ground here with that R3, is playing this patiently, gonna throw that tactical shield, but here comes the push. AP behind them though, so we could get some chaos here. It's Nightmare, Black Hand, and Atlanta Premier all feeding in this choke point. Good shots from Yasto will get the knock there onto Borton, and they're hunting for the rest of the squad, but guess who's here? It's Atlanta Premier, and they're looking for blood. They want to take out Black Hand here in game number 1. Shots from the 30-30 here from Enemy. First one will not land, but they're still feeling good. Crook Does get a lot of damage through that purple Evo. Will back away to hit a bat here, and they're going to slow things down. Hill throws out a nade, and they're going to retreat. AP knows they don't have to bite off more than they could chew.
Yeah, you look at the side, and there is Temple Esports out on the side just trying to cause problems here. And they might be able to actually cause a third party to ruin both these teams' days.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Blackhand able to get in here and finish off Ronnie. They're going to clean up one more. Borton is dead, so one remaining member of Nightmare. Shub is down, which is huge. You remember back to our first half of day one, Shub was incredibly instrumental in the Blackhand wins. There's a very specific, amazing res with the Newcastle that single-handedly won Blackhand a game at the start of yesterday. And with Shub down, that does hamper the ability here for Blackhand to make some plays. Meanwhile, Temple Esports taking out AP, still feeling really good. Triple purple Evo. They're working to charge those up to the red, and they're looking to work their way north, though. They have some time, right? This circle is not pulling hard north yet. It is sticking to that southern side of Lava Siphon for the time being as a knock comes through, and Shub finished off there by enemy.
Yeah, so Shub going to be trying desperately to get over to his teammate. And that's big, too, because that is, I believe, your Newcastle down.
Yes.
So that is much harder to revive and get him back into the game because you don't have that easy shield moving revive. So now they've got to figure out how to get him there. And now you can see Voltic and Yasto, they're trying, but they can't get to him. They might just have to actually just peace out. They get the beacon, so they do get the death box. But where do you go from here? Because there is no real world in which you can make things happen. They are just going to hold out in this little cubby here. I can't tell. They're going through. Okay. They are just biting the bullet ring, not hurting too much. It's round 3. And depending on how far they're going, I think they've realized it's a decent walk out there in the ring, and you don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah, that's definitely risky, especially getting later in the game. Those ticks become a little bigger. One of them had a med kit and 4 syringes to their name, which is maybe enough to get around. Yeah. But also, if you get caught in the rotation, right, if somebody's holding that northern edge there, you're screwed, right? You're going to go down, so it is a tough choice to make. But also staying, AP knows exactly where you are. They watch you take the geyser and fly right into that cave, so they know exactly where you are. But they have gone for the long rotation.
Yeah, you can see there's definitely enough for Yasto here, and I think they're going to try and craft a bunch more here to see if they can just hold out for a bit, get to one of these revive beacons, and
they went
get
south.
Shub. Yeah, they went very south in there, which is interesting because there really isn't a revive beacon there, right?
Yes.
I don't think they have.
They got it off. They actually got it off. So they just used it to get Shub back.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they actually had a revive there, so now they're going to be able to get back into this game, but they're going to be coming around back the way they came into that area, into that tunnel, and Nightmare's right on the other side of that, looking to make something happen. It is a 2-person squad, so that does mean it's a little harder for Nightmare, but they have the ability to gatekeep if they're paying attention on their backside.
Also important to note, Nightmare were able to get the res on Ronnie. AP had actually picked up that kill earlier. They were able to grab the banner, get to a beacon, get the res through, so I believe Nightmare at full strength.
How?
Who knows? These guys are slippery. You know, and with the lower teams in the lobby, there is a little bit more room to work with. But the problem is Blackhand have run into Nightmare. Couple of cracks, though. Borton and Bursty are down, and they're looking for the finish. They're going to quickly clean up those 2 kills. So Ronnie still alive, but is now all on his lonesome. And guess what? You're going to have a hard time getting a res on those 2 players. I don't even know if there is a beacon available to get the res, let alone the ability to get into this cave and pick up those banners. Huge push there from Blackhand. They're right back in this game.
They're right back into this game, but they are still stuck in this area, and it's very clear that some teams are aware of this. Unfortunately, yeah, like you said, Nightmare just didn't really prepare for a team to come in behind them. You don't really expect a team to come from the ring in round 3 when you're like, oh, you're essentially considering that a wall at that point. And the wall, somebody walked through that, just like messed up your day. And now Nightmare just going to have to rat it out for now. RCO, I think, are one of the teams that are aware that Blackhand is in there, and they want to gatekeep as much as possible. That's so big for RCO if they can get something out of that. Good charge rifle shots from Sleepy Panda.
Ooh, a lot of damage there as Styx is going to go down, and this is RCO playing it exactly the way you want to see them play. They are one of the two teams closest to hitting that match point threshold by the start of Game 3. They need a few kills, and a top 3 finish is enough to get them over the threshold if they can do it 2 games in a row. Rez coming through on the other side of this little rock formation, but that's going to be Sleepy Panda with the aggressive peek on the car. He's going to get some damage. The skin comes through from the Bloodhound on the low ground. Sleepy Panda will back away, has to get this bat off. Hand, you can see, down on the low, waiting for their opportunity to get back into the fight. But RCO in a really good position. They've already got a red. Evo Holiday peeking aggressively with that car as well, using the light ammo so they don't have to share here. And RCO just in a really good spot. There's still 9 squads remaining, so a lot of work to be done to hit the threshold that they're looking for, but they have put themselves in the exact place that they want to be to get to where they want to go after 2 games.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is when we did see Blackhand last, they were running low on ammo. They were very, very low on that. There was like 40 shots in the flat line there for one of the members.
Unfortunate.
That's big, though. You can see they do have the R301 ammo there, but it's important when you are running low on ammo and you've got to be able to conserve that. Those long poke fights going back and forth can drain you very, very quickly. Enemy now looking for a little bit more, just peeking in that door, see what he could get.
Yeah, you got to be careful. He's going to throw down the frag, hits the ultimate here on the Bloodhound, will blow open the door, and he's going for the push. He wants blood. There's already 2 down. The knocks from Crook and Hill at AP enemy looking to finish it off. He's taken the knot off of his name, and he is here to beam with the squad. They break the shields there on the Newcastle. They're going to get the finish there onto Trevstack. So a great start to the day. AP picking up right where they left off on day 1. Meanwhile, you see RCO holding strong here inside of Lava Siphon. They do have the northern edge of the circle, so they have a solid position to try and gatekeep some of these other teams still holding inside of Lava Siphon. If they could pick up some KP here as well, would be huge for the squad.
Yeah, right now, though, they've got to also be aware of the teams that are around them. They've got a really good spot for right now, but it's only going to last for so long, and everyone's going to want in here. So there's going to be a lot of pressure their way. And one, they've got some of those, they've got that charge rifle, not going to be too great in a one-on-one fight close range.
Nando there with the PK, gets the knock onto one of the Tyson members. They're looking for more. An 88 crack here. Looking for the res. Is going to peek through the door. 80 on 1. Oh, but down they go. Antimatter out as well. Teams are dropping left and right, and somehow Tyson survives all of the bloodshed. Meanwhile, Blackhand, they're looking to get back into the action. Voltic going to take a lot of damage there, but the castle wall up to the high ground will provide some cover there for Shoot. Voltic going to be able to retreat, get a little bit of a health, some healing going. Revenge, meanwhile, they go down. We've got our top 4. Blackhand is in there. AP as well. Tyson with maybe one of their best games we've seen so far this weekend. They've got quite a bit of ground to make up, but 4 kills to their name and some solid placement points here is a fantastic start for the squad. But AP, they're just back to business here to start day 2.
Yeah, Tyson really looking to see what they can get today, because that is a big jump for them, and that's what they absolutely need today. We also do have Blackhand V, who are unfortunately seeming like they're going to get taken out. Yep, okay. I shouldn't have said anything.
Rest in peace, Blackhand V, but that's okay. The main squad is looking to take care of business here still. Atlanta Premier, that is a Kraber in their hands. It's Crook looking for the shots here towards Lava Siphon. One team still holding in there. I believe it is Tyson. And they're now in the top 3, so that's huge. That's 7 points. That's a big boon here for Tyson on top of the 5 kills they picked up. That is exactly what you're looking for. 2, I believe, 18-point games gets them over the threshold for match point in 2 games.
They're at 12 right now.
They're close to the start. Yes, they are very close to where they want to be here after 1 game. But check out Atlanta Premier. 14 kills, over 5,000 damage. They are just beaming this lobby. When we take a look at Tyson, they've got the castle wall for a little bit of protection, and they are in zone, holding inside of the bridge here. This exit to Lava Siphon is a good place to be. This castle wall will do them a lot of good, and Oxy Aries just looking to use this ammo on the R301, poke away
Look at
the health bars of Blackhand and Tyson. Yeah, and Oxy
running low on the shields there. Has 1 bat and a few cells. They can trade a little bit. Joey probably wants to hold on to those cells, though, with the gold with the gold shield. So Oxy's got to be very, very careful. I think what they really want to do is avoid going for those pokes so they can conserve that and make sure that they are ready for a final fight if and when that happens there. They are set up really nicely. Look at the ring. They are going to have to move out a little bit here, but ultimately I think they are just good to hold on here, and it's just going to be waiting for that ring to keep going.
Yeah, the hard part is going to be they will have to move out of their cover, though I think AP is in a very similar situation to me. Blackhand in the best position to hold as long as they can, but that first castle wall does get taken out, and it looks like Tyson will be looking to break the new one. A lot of damage, though, onto one member. His enemy still working with that 30-30, trying to get as much as he can out of that weapon. Meanwhile, only one shot left here on the Kraber. We are at a stalemate here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of our first game, and we've got another wonderful end game just like we started day one.
One thing I want to point out that could come out to be really big is I'm looking just at the guns of all the teams right now. Atlanta Premier, they have a Kraber, a 30-30. Like, they have some longer range guns here for these final fights. If this turns into a full 3v3, they are running with a little bit less firepower. Most of the other teams have one person on a scout, and they have full like SMGs elsewhere. That's hard to fight against. That Kraber has no ammo.
Yep.
It is just the Evo that Crook has to work with.
Let's see what Atlanta Premier can bring to the table here. That Arcstar won't land any damage onto Crook, and they're looking to rotate onto Blackhand here, it would seem, but Crook goes down right away. It's Voltic with the knock there. Blackhand want this fight. The question is, how long does Tyson wait? The habitat going to go through here from Yosto. They're going to try and get an angle around these boxes. Voltic goes for the peek, and they wipe out Atlanta Premier. A huge fight win here for Blackhand, and the problem is Tyson have played the slow game, and that means Blackhand get the reset. They've got the armor swaps. It's triple red Evos for the squad, and Tyson may have been a little too slow. They're going to go for the peek here around the castle wall, but down goes Joey. One more falls. It's Blackhand looking to go right back to where they started on World's Edge, and they take game one.
I would not be surprised at this point to see Blackhand just go undefeated on World's
Oh
Edge,
my
which is
Lord.
a wild concept to discuss. You know, but you don't generally see one team win every game on this map, but Blackhand, they just look so comfortable. I think Voltic, that experience is helping them out a lot in being able to just make sure, like, hey, here's where we need to go. Here's how we need to play this out. And they have the mechanical skill then to go forward from that point. They know how to play things out from there. I agree. Tyson, when you see that fight breaking out, you've got to be on the ball there. There was a very low health bar on Voltic there. They had the opportunity to push that. They didn't take that opportunity, and now they're down a couple of points where they may have been able to get that 18 that they needed.
That is going to sting a little bit for Tyson. For me, it feels a little like this big shift in meta that we've seen has produced late games that are not as packed with teams as we're used to.
Yes.
So often in North America, you get to those last circles, and especially if it ends in certain POIs, things like Fragment, things like up north towards like Epicenter and Climatizer, you could get so many teams stacked on top of each other with the verticality of this POI. And what it has produced is a lot of teams, when there are less teams now because of this aggressive meta, they want to play those later circles slower. They want to be more patient.
Yes.
But this is a traditional 3-team final circle pull. And the strat there is you see a knock, you push, and you third party. And it feels like Tyson may be getting pulled in a little too much by the more patient late games that teams are playing lately. And they played a little too slow, and they got punished for it. So a rough turnout there, but Blackhand taking a huge win. And Tyson's still doing some good work to get some huge points in their effort to get to match point. We've got tons more to talk about here, but I think the analyst desk wants to weigh in. So let's see what those gentlemen have to say.
That was a crazy finish. We said that we wanted to see more from Tyson. We got a little bit more from Tyson, but Blackhand. It's Blackhand. Black Dam. You said it. Wow. What happened there, Dia?
I'm drawing right now.
Okay, I can take it.
Yeah. I can do it. I can do it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Live artist rendition. Of
So
the final
basically, Atlanta Premier. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, you can see this. Okay. Atlanta Premier here actually have a pretty good shot. They have literally a good shot. They have a Kraber. But they end up dropping down into the low ground, which is an understandable play because Tyson are like, yeah, we're gonna kill you. Shub is applying pressure up here, which is really nice. So Blackhand have presence on the high ground. But the unfortunate part for Atlanta Premier was they drop down onto this rock and get naded by Blackhand. and then have to run across to Blackhand and get murdered on the way. So they lose one. Blackhand go, all right, well, we're going to play for second, and we're going to kill this team, get an additional 3 points, basically tie for first on top of the points that we already have, which is a really smart move because they killed Nightmare twice on the way. We'll touch on that later. Blackhand get to commit onto here. This is all really good, and this is all sort of as it should happen. Atlanta Premier are reacting appropriately to the situation. Blackhand are doing so as well. The biggest misstep is Tyson not recognizing what's going on. There's a Newcastle wall here with Shub, and this somehow provides enough pressure that Tyson are sitting all the way here as Voltic gets shield swapped on, as everything is fine, and Blackhand get to come up here and just kill Tyson with their 3v3. That's the, I don't know what the segment's called. The breakdown with Dia? I don't know.
Yeah, the chicken scratch with Dia.
Yeah, but that was the big misstep. I think we can agree.
Oh,
Tyson waiting, net them second.
Okay, I will say, though, I feel like this is one of the most impressive games that we've seen out of Tyson thus far.
Yes.
They handled some great fights here in the, we'll say, mid-game against RCO that gave them the eligibility to be a part of those endgame fights. And while their final decision was not good, they did not make the appropriate turn or trade to collapse on top of Blackhand or Premier, etc. during that kind of final endgame skirmish. They were still the ones that exuded the pressure necessary to push both Atlanta Premier and Blackhand in their majorities off of that cliffside. Both of us sitting here watching that, we agreed that being on top of that high ground is so crucial for that zone specifically, and Tyson was back up against the wall inside Lava Siphon, and they pulled it off and found what was the opportunity that they just didn't capitalize on.
And if you've seen that zone in your ranked games, you know that it can go either way because there are some pulls that will take you straight onto the bridge, in which case Tyson has, I mean, the most depressive spot ever. There are other zones that force you to come out of there, so it is all a gamble as we approach the end game, and I think all three of these teams took really good gambles. Blackhand, after being relegated down to the low ground, did a great job of clearing out Nightmare, again, twice.
Yeah.
To ultimately be able to play those boxes where there is a lot of cover. Atlanta Premier made the really smart play of coming down from the high ground at launch site. They cleared out teams on the way there. They pushed Blackhand out. So all three of the teams made the right macro calls to put themselves in the position to win the game. But at the very end, it's like split seconds that determine who gets those 12 points.
Exactly. And, you said it right. Like, they didn't know what was happening, even though it looked like, because they put themselves into such a good position where they forced AP and Blackhand to fight, essentially, but they just never capitalized on it. And, I mean, especially with Tyson, right? Early in the game, we had a fight, RCO and Tyson came out on top of that. That kind of showed us Tyson had good presence. They have really good ability and the ability to sort of, turn situations around that yesterday we would have been like, oh, no idea, right? But still, fantastic game. Also, Nightmare, they came to us today. They said they wanted to play different comps that we got. I mean, Crypto almost worked. They got one res off on Crypto, and, well, unfortunately did not happen the second time. But it was still pretty awesome to see, Crypto coming out in this lobby. Mobile respawn beacon is what we saw that used. It's in the crafter, at least for this game. Changes at 10 a.m. Pacific time today. We'll see what happens at that. But, still good stuff. What else is good stuff?
Tell me.
These chairs that we're sitting in, they're pretty comfy. They're
really
from Mavix.
I enjoy them.
Yeah, so
It's quite nice.
Basically Mavix, right? The M4 gaming chair, LMAX competitive advantage that you've been waiting for. Featuring cooling, heat, massage, the LMAX. It's going to keep your gaming sessions going for even longer with body temperature regulation and increased focus. The future of gaming is here. You can shop now at Mavix.com using code NSG to save $55 off of your Mavix gaming chair. Just as well, Mobius, BenQ, they just launched two 4K 144Hz gaming monitors with HDMI 2.1, and you can expect HDRI smart, optimized, realistic displays, smooth graphics with FreeSync Pro, and 2.1 channel immersive audio with a built-in subwoofer. If you're not ready for next level, or if you're ready for next level gaming, visit BenQ.com today. If not, you're not ready for next level gaming, obviously. But yeah, still fantastic stuff from Blackhand, obviously today. These points that we're seeing from these teams, super important, super incredible. Blackhand though, they just taking the points off of themselves.
Their stocks continue to go through the roof. Zephyr's pointing out something really important. You guys should be using the hashtag NerdStreetSummerChamps to, I guess, send us
Send pics.
Send us your opinions.
Send us
your pictures. Send us your memes. And I bet the best ones that we'll find, we'll maybe show them off here on the desk.
That would be really nice. I also wanted to say, because you know some people may not be ready for the next level of gaming. If you're wondering whether you're one of those people and you're in the venue today, we've actually got BenQ Mobius all the way over there to this side of us to you at home. Probably doesn't mean anything, but it's this way for those of you who are in the venue. So go check out their monitors.
Absolutely. But for now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with some more Nerd Street Summer Champs action.
This is the EX3210U 4K IPS monitor by BenQ, and options like a black equalizer, color vibrancy, light tuner that allows you to customize a picture. Picture looks nice and colorful. The 2.1 built-in speakers are one of the best on monitors. If you want to enjoy high dynamic range colors and contrast, a sharp 4K resolution, and the smoothness of 120Hz, then this monitor is right for you.
By Newcastle. This is such an insane play. This is why you pick Newcastle. Rez going to be canceled over on the other side by Enemy as he does what he can to take them out. Good redeploy reposition by the Newcastle. And there we go. We see Tyson go down. It's just going to be Blackhand. Yasso goes down. Enemy going to be losing some progress pretty soon here. But good Newcastle wall. This is going to give them a fantastic opportunity as Nightmare goes down. It's just BAP. They're going to try to turn this into a heal off, but there's no way that they can do this just yet. Everybody pushes into the zone. Blackhand takes the win. We'll be able to get a good sightline here. A decent crack as well. Nando going to be going down. This is going to change the fight. However, it's not going to matter at all. Blackhand, 3P immediately.
Who have the high ground? Who have the flame? Or will it be Team Revenge who have run that fuse? Who are just trying desperately to pick up their first 12 points? Yet again, it's going to be the full set. Furcock up top with the massive. Gets that initial knock onto Six. It's one down for Atlanta Premier. They get two as Yazix goes down. And Atlanta Premier rip this game out of the clutches of Blackhand. There's no way it happens. Temple Esports up on this height. +2 already. And they again get taken down. Atlanta Premier refuse to say die.
But now they're in the wrong angle. But they're distracted. They're distracted.
No way.
On top of hill. Enemy from behind. A great crack, but not the knock.
Still get it. Pops up over side with that car. Look at his health. 25 away from death. Pops up again. And top 3 can put themselves in the top 2.
Here's the problem. At the end of the day, RCO, I was about to say earlier 2-man, but now sitting in happiness of 1. Nightmare putting leads to difficulty. Antimatter out as well. They're a full 3 roster force. This is just all said and done here as Nightmare are your champions of Game 6.
Welcome back, everybody. During that break, we saw some awesome replays from day one and, the amazing domination that was Blackhand yesterday. And, we just saw that again a little bit today. So game 1 of day 2, right, that was all Blackhand. It was all Blackhand. I mean, they came through and they really showed off a lot of their ability to just take control of the situation. I mean, again, we're on World's Edge. Who else's map
who else
is
but
it?
Blackhand?
Exactly.
It's important to contextualize what this means for the other teams as well, because for Blackhand, this game, while it does push them forward in points, is the cherry on top. But for Tyson, missing out on those 3 points in the end game there could be the difference between them finding themselves on match point and not. Right now, sitting at 54 points, they've still got 16 to go until they've got match point eligibility as we enter our 3rd game. After this one, this is the last chance for all of our teams to hit those 70 points before Blackhand or RCO could end the day at any moment.
Oh, no, here we go. So we actually had a little bit of a mistake there, but this is the correct one here. Tyson is at 48, so they need 22 more points to get up to that threshold. But Nightmare and RCO, they're close. So in this game, Nightmare Esports, 16 points, RCO with 15. They're now on the match point threshold. They have the ability to hit the win in Game 3. But Tyson, if they can get 22 points, they've got a shot. That being said, we are going to be getting in that next game very, very soon. So let's go ahead and toss it over to our amazing casters, Tessa and Yeso, and let's have them take it away from here.
Some wonderful math from all of those gents on the desk. Welcome back, Yeso and Thousand Ice here as we get ready for our second game. A lot of discussion, and I would say rightfully so, about how Tyson played out the late game there, and a win gets away from them. But I know you are feeling very positive, very good about where Tyson is at. Why is that?
Yeah, I think honestly the way that they played was really intelligent, and we talked with them a little bit. They had a plan coming into today. It wasn't just like, we're just like feeling good and we're gonna just have a good game. It was they mapped out where they wanted to go. They figured out where teams they could generally beat were going to be, and where Blackhand and Atlanta Premier were going to be, and they mapped out their route specifically to avoid those top teams and take on those 50-50s that they felt they had a shot in, which I was really impressed by. I don't generally see a lot of teams thinking that deeply about it, especially when you're like, we need to have these points in our pocket for Game 3.
And it puts them in an incredible position, right? They jump up to 5th place. They are right on the heels of RCO and Nightmare, who didn't get a ton done last game, and they still have a lot of work to do where match point will only just activate in the next game.
Absolutely, yeah. They've still got points to get, for sure. I think the biggest question going into this was, did Tyson just have a good game, or is this what their level is going to be today? Because if that is what it is, even if they don't get it on that Game 3, Stormpoint has not, Blackhand has not won on Stormpoint. They have won every World's Edge game.
Yep.
Have not had that same luck on Stormpoint, and Atlanta Premier only won the first one. There is a very real possibility that neither of those teams win Game 3 and we go to a Game 4, and Tyson would only need a couple of points if they have a similar game this time around on World's Edge.
There is an incredible opportunity for some of those squads we just mentioned, Nightmare, RCO, and Tyson. They are all within reaching distance of that match point threshold, because we are not on match point yet, but next game it starts. So we'll have to see what they can do here on our second game on World's Edge. We jump in here with Blackhand, very near to where our last game ended here, south of Lava Siphon, and it looks like it's actually, Tyson. Z Davis and Oxy Aries going to combine here for a knock onto Denim Dude. They're going to pick that one up, so some quick KP here for the Tyson squad, and exactly the way that you want to see them start this game, because as Zephyr's whiteboard very efficiently pointed out, 22 points is all Z Davis and the squad need.
Well, and that's even better because they did not have a similar start last time around. It took them some time to get those KP. They're getting it right out the gate. That's great for them.
Yeah, meanwhile, we check in here with Revenge. It's Uroi on the Newcastle. Going to combine there with Styx to get the knock there onto Scully. And Styx very low right around the corner. He is going to get knocked down. But what can they do? That's Team Int wiped out. A wonderful start to Game 2 here for Revenge.
Yeah, Revenge getting a nice...
Some respect, Crouches, you know, bowing to their fallen enemies.
Right. Of course. That's how I use that,
yeah,
at least.
I figured.
Yeah. We're nothing but respectful here today. As we, you can't do visual gags.
Hey, it was just for you. That wasn't for the people at home. I'm sorry, folks. You know, I'm going to have a good time here with my co-caster, even if y'all can't see. But plenty here to still break down. We're checking in with Aang and the crew here as they are just outside of Overlook, maybe looking to craft, but some shots, what looks like from No Name to their west, kind of keeping them at bay. And it actually looks like this squad wants to push up the hill, and they're going to drop down to the low. They're going to get down into the tunnel, but the chase is on its way. Halfway Human looking for the beam. Does get a lot of damage with the R9, but it's not going to nearly be enough. It's antimatter. They have showed up, showed out, and taken out Not Sure.
Yeah, good stuff from Antimatter to drop down there. A really good beam. I think a little bit of loss of positioning there from Not Sure. They dropped down, didn't really know where people were, and that little split second was enough time to take a good amount of damage. Now somebody low over there as we see Tyson going hard on to another team. This is Tyson looking for those points they need.
Exactly. They're on that rotation that they had plotted out. They've got a knock onto Floop. Well done here from Oxy. Aries has been a big catalyst for the squad here so far today, but Butters gets the knock onto Z Davis, and now it's Oxy trying to buy a little time, looking to get that sell off, and maybe the res comes through here for Joey. Does have the blue knock shield, so not the most difficult to break through, but it looks like Tyson will get the breathing room to get the res through. Z Davis will hit the bat, and Tyson able to reset. What can they do from here? 10 squads remaining.
Well, they're going to just push this. They don't want that revive to get off. Watch the Arc Star.
Oh, teammates.
Oh, teammate. Okay, I did.
I thought the same thing.
I'm glad there, but they are actually going to clean up contested, and that's another squad down for them. So more points going over to Tyson, currently sitting at 6 already before we really get any kind of real placement points. Obviously, some have come through as we have lost 3 squads, but now Tyson racking up points even faster than game 1.
And this is just Tyson understanding that, sure, Stormpoint may not have gone the way of Atlanta Premier and Blackhand yesterday, but it is dangerous to assume that the results will be similar today. You cannot give AP and Blackhand an opportunity to take this all when we get to game 3. And so Tyson says, look, sure, we could maybe play it slow and hope that they don't win in Game 3, but if we just take care of business now, give ourselves the opportunity to end this event in Game 3, that would be the best way to go.
Well, I think it's important to note, too, that they recognize how Atlanta Premier and Blackhand have been playing.
Yes.
And that has been aggressive. They can't play zone. They can't play slow and safe. At the position they are in, it has to be aggression, and they are playing that aggression intelligently, recognizing the teams that they can take on and avoiding the teams they can't.
Yeah, definitely feels like they're using the intel they were able to get from their 6 games yesterday to optimize those rotations here on day 2. We'll see what they can do. The scan here is going to cancel the res there from Yoroi, and Revenge are in trouble. That's going to be Yoroi going down as well. It's Antimatter coming up onto the sniper tower, and they're going to finish off Yazix and Yoroi. So that means that final member of Revenge on the run here. But guess what? Lily on that Octane. There is some chase potential here for the side of Antimatter, and they are looking for this last kill. Pings out onto this last player. That's going to be shots onto Flesh. The Havoc not going to quite land there, but it doesn't quite matter. Antimatter picks up the kill. Revenge is done here in Game 2.
And Antimatter, I mean, I think the fact that the aggressive composition they're playing matches their energy. I don't know if we've really had a discussion on this, because I don't entirely, I was not entirely aware of what the analyst desk was fully talking about. But if you have been here live, when Antimatter is fighting, everyone knows it.
Oh.
They are so loud. They are so aggressive.
Yes.
And that matches the composition they are playing. They're playing Horizon, Octane, and Seer. This is find people and go kill them.
Yeah.
And that matches exactly how they are as players.
Yeah, and and to be clear, it's Pupper that you can hear in the entire building. They get in a fight, and he is making calls. He wants to make sure, you know, people a few blocks down here in downtown Philadelphia know exactly what the plan is. He is calling the pushes, pulling his team back, reining them in when necessary. They've got 6 kills so far in this game. That is huge for Antimatter, because they are right behind that group of Tyson, Nightmare, RCO, trying to chase down match point here in Game 2 of the day. We're checking in here with Nightmare. They're running the Caustic, Seer, Valkyrie in this game, so rotation potential. If you want to play zone, you do have the Caustic to set down the traps and hold the building, and plenty of information, of course, coming from that Seer here for Bursty.
Which is also interesting, because I don't think this is what they were running yesterday. If I remember correctly.
They were running the Vizio composition with the Octane Bloodhound Vantage, at least for a few games, which I thought was fascinating.
And then they ran the Revenant on Stormpoint.
Oh, yeah, it was Revenant Ash Fuse, I think, in the second half, which is crazy.
And it's wild to me that now, like, at this point, they're switching to something a little safer, because, like, this is kind of where you really need those points. I don't think you're going to get them from placement points alone.
Yeah, I think it's just the recognition that, like, yesterday, especially when you get that early pace from Blackhand Atlanta Premier, you're just trying to kind of get up for air almost, and you're grasping for any points you can. So maybe you're thinking, we can't let them get too far away. We have to have those big games, so you want to play those aggressive comps. And now they recognize where the match point threshold is. Hey, we don't have to play crazy. We have 2 games of breathing room. Let's slow it down, play a little bit more deliberately, and in the same way that RCO talked about. Top 3, few kills. It's enough to get us to where we want to be by game 3.
Yeah, and I mean, that also just can kind of, like, for RCO especially, like, that's the way they want to play the game. Unfortunately, they're kind of in a position where it's like, well, we can't really play that way anymore. But that's where they want to be. Blackhand V going down as Cheezer was found. I think it actually is important to note that that does mean that of all the teams, it is Antimatter. I saw Cheezer had a Mastiff. So Antimatter now have a Mastiff on their side, and that only means that there is going to be more just running people down.
Antimatter definitely going to be playing with confidence, especially when you look at the lobby right now. They're leading it. 7 kills, over 2,300 damage. They are playing their game, and it is working well for them here in Game 2. Meanwhile, we take a look here at Tyson. Be looking to work their way down south here. They see Nightmare south of them. Borton has taken a lot of damage. Is going to look to retreat to safety. Gets tagged once and gets taken down, I believe. That's a huge knock for Tyson.
Yeah, and importantly, Nightmare now just have to retreat into the ring, which is not where you want to be right now with Atlanta Premier gatekeeping you and holding you down. They now see where they're trying to hide out, and Atlanta Premier do not want to give Nightmare any opportunity to get those points to catch up.
Crook here on the Maggie enemy, playing this Bloodhound. We've seen him on for a majority of the weekend. Feeling good with this wingman.
I mean, look, you run Bloodhound and Maggie, you're having a good time.
That's
another, that is another composition of see person, kill person.
We'll see how it works out. We get a look here at Blackhand. They're coming in behind Tyson. Oh, no. Tyson's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Atlanta Premier on one side, Blackhand on the other, and it's just Shub up on the high ground, firing away with the Prowler. One's going to go down. It's Oxy first. There goes 2. It's Z Davis. Now it's all up to Joey Blackout. Can he save Tyson's hope here in game number 2? Enemy going to get the knock there onto Joey, but somebody was able to get the res through, so somehow Tyson's still alive.
They're back up. Yeah, right now they are all back up. Blackhand now maybe in a bad spot. They weren't able to finish it off quickly like they've done with so many other teams, but now Tyson, just they don't have anywhere to go, and it's going to get harder and harder here.
Yeah, the one thing saving Tyson right now is Atlanta Premier and Blackhand being very much concerned with each other, because actually both teams have to play pretty aggressively to get that angle onto Tyson. So Tyson banking on them, keeping each other occupied, but Atlanta Premier finally going to back away, and that opens up for the push there from Blackhand. And also, a nice little thermite thrown out there by Crook, and Tyson is out.
That is so unfortunate. Okay, just fight in the ring, guys.
Yeah, why not? Who cares? Blackhand, Voltic going to go down as Shub goes up on that gravity lift, maybe looking for a cheeky res here, but it's taking that tick damage from the ring. Yasto going to get back into the safety here.
AP know it.
Skip, but AP,
they saw it.
They only backed away for a moment. It was all a bait. The res will come through. Voltic likely going to be able to get back into the zone before going back down, but the question is how quickly can AP get over here? Do they want to challenge? It looks like Blackhand will get away for the time being. Atlanta Premier going to slow it down. They're going to rotate back out around here and get out of trouble. So Blackhand somehow, some way, get out alive.
Well, AP especially did not want to chase around there as the ring is closing, because it just gets so much more difficult. And now we see Nightmare. RCO still alive right now. They are a little split, but they are chasing down, I believe, a solo right now. Or, yeah, they are just going to take out, I believe, Temple Esports. Yeah, Temple Esports going down. And now that leaves us with just 4 teams, RCO being one of them. And RCO currently sitting 7 points. That could be a good game for them to try and at least get close to that match point for the first time where it is unlocked.
Our first game of match point comes up next on Storm Point, and we've got 4 teams alive here, and there are top 4 teams. It's Blackhand, Atlanta Premier, RCO, and Nightmare. If RCO or Nightmare can pull out a win here, it would be huge. The problem, Nightmare down one player. RCO, though, at full strength. Can they take down, though, the Titans?
Blackhand really sitting, I think, in a solid position, at least for the next minute or so. This high ground is really good. Shub, though, not up there with them, but Blackhand, I think, are just going to try and push it.
Maybe that's going to be the Magnum Ultimate out, and Blackhand looking for the push here. On the hunt is Voltic, hitting the shots with the wingman. Is going to get knocked, though. What can his teammates do? That tactical shield down from Shub, and is going to go for the res, using it for that aggressive push. That purple knockdown doing a lot of work. Yasto will go down, but finally, Atlanta Premier finished off a huge fight.
There we go, RCO won it.
Yep, here they come. They're on the high ground. Scan comes through, and they know a huge opportunity is here. If Blackhand goes down, it completely changes the complexion of this lobby. RCO going to hold the high ground. Voltic goes down first, courtesy of Nando. Sleepy Panda holding up high there with that Volt. And Blackhand are out. It's RCO versus Nightmare.
It's RCO versus Nightmare, and both of these teams want that point. RCO currently sitting at 13, Nightmare at 9. If RCO wins this, that's a lot of points going to them.
We'll have to see. Bursty gonna get knocked. It's now all down to Ronnie. They've traded Nox here. It's the 1v2. Can Ronnie clutch it up? Scans come through. Is gonna get some damage there onto the Ready. Has to jump down behind the knock. Looking for the bat. They're trying to shoot through it with shotguns here. And he is going to die. The Arcstar comes through. And RCO grab the most clutch win of the weekend. I think they just hit match point.
I don't know about that. They are close to it, but they may have hit it.
I think they did.
I have to remember how much they got.
I think they were at 55 and 54 between Nightmare and RCO. I don't remember who was where, but I think 18 points. I think that was enough.
We'll have to see. But what that means, if that is true, that means RCO. Now, in the running for this Stormpoint game, we have 3 teams that can finish it next time around. Reminder, only one of those teams won one of those maps on Stormpoint, though. I want to temper expectations. I want to get more games.
Yeah.
I am really excited to have more games, and I think there is a strong possibility we see one of these other teams pop off there, and because Stormpoint is just a completely different style of play, and it doesn't seem to favor, it's a much more even ground because you are looking at teams that have basically the later teams that have started later in the Apex careers. Stormpoint, basically, they are all at even playing field in terms of learning that map and growing there. So there's a little bit of an even playing ground when you look at how those teams play it.
And when you look at the teams trying to shift the landscape of this event right now, Nightmare, one of them, I don't think they got to, they almost definitely didn't get to match point with that finish in second place, but they finished the day yesterday with a win. They won Game 6 on Stormpoint yesterday, so if they can pick up in our next game where they left off yesterday, they may have a huge opportunity to get themselves the match point and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I really, really want to see that. I think also Tyson with a decent game this time around. Yep. They're not going to hit match point. However, they are going to be at least within a shot of it this game. Yep. And if we don't see one of those 3 teams win, Tyson may be able to get it next time on Stormpoint. Yeah. And we'll maybe see a 4th team hop in there. Tyson looked to be strong right now.
They have had a solid start to the day. An unfortunate finish here, getting caught between Blackhand and Atlanta Premier, but they have looked like a very different squad here today. We'll have to see what they can do, but we're going to head back out to the analyst desk to hear their thoughts on that second game on World's Edge.
They told me to.
RCO. That is amazing. That is literally exactly what we're talking about. One of these teams just needs enough points. RCO, they found the points. I mean, seriously though, like it started off pretty great, right? Like Tyson was like in there. We were talking about Tyson game 1, and Tyson they came through a little bit, but ooh, that was worst case scenario for Tyson right in the middle of that game. But at the very end of it, that Blackhand fight versus Atlanta Premier, RCO came in just in time to shut down Blackhand's reign. But I mean, yeah, let's talk about this. We'll look at the replays right now. Seriously, some amazing plays today.
Right. There was some really nice, what's that word that I'm looking for? Not incentive, but when people are proactive.
Filibuster.
Filibuster. Proactivity from Tyson. I liked their southern rotation to start picking up some early kills, and actually, Zephyr, you and I were debating the merits of them holding the choke point earlier on. It's a risky play for them, but one that I think they felt was necessary to try and make up the points before now we're unlocked. Having completed game 2, match point eligibility is at 70. If you're above 70 points, you can now win. You can now end the day just with a single dub. Tyson took that risk to try and get there, and while it didn't work out, I gotta respect their gumption.
Yeah, and it was definitely something that they knew they had to pull off something big, right? 22 points is not an easy thing to accomplish, especially if you're shooting for second in situations against, say, against Black Hand versus Atlanta Premier, right? That's a 13-point necessary accumulation, and even with the win, still just as nasty 10 to work with there. But speaking of our leaderboard, RCO, though, are one of those squads who, in our 2 games to start the morning, have officially managed to make it to the match point 73, just 3 above, and now going into Storm Point, have the opportunity to win it all.
So what you're telling me is that my prediction from yesterday is still alive. RCO can still win this. I'm sending them energy.
They can still win this, but you got to remember who is still on top, right? We got Atlanta Premier still up there. We got Black Hand still up there. There is, there's only 3 teams that can win, right? So if Storm Point is taken by any of those 3 teams, that's it. That's game over. That's day over. However, there are still some opportunities for these other teams who are not yet at match point to get to match point if they win. If and only if, right? I'm actually thinking back on that last game as well and thinking of just the difference in lobby that we had. Remember in game 1 of today how Tyson took out RCO, took that top spot, and then third-partied a little bit late? Yes. RCO didn't have that problem. It was almost exactly the same situation. They had height away from a fight, and as soon as they heard that these last 2 squads, these big threats, Black Hand and Atlanta Premier were fighting, they had the timing on that third party. And though it is just the difference of 1 game, though it is just the difference of 1 fight, it is still, I think, really nice to see that teams are learning from the mistakes, not just that they've made, but that they've seen other teams make and pushing the pace of the game.
That's what I was about to say. It's the speed. They're getting used to the speed that you see much out of teams, say, like Black Hand and Atlanta Premier, and they're adjusting to that tempo. We've seen it not just today, but yesterday, many times where squads haven't had the opportunity to capitalize on those fights quick enough, and then the big dogs get the reset, turn around, and win.
Definitely. Like you said, it's all about that tempo. It is all about their ability to just sort of make or break any single situation, any single team fight with, this lobby today. It's all about that tempo. It's also all about that Temple University. Like to, just mention, don't forget to schedule an in-person tour at Temple University's main campus, located just 2 miles from downtown Philadelphia. Or you can visit them online at temple.edu, our sponsor for today. Just wanted to say a shout out to the Temple University team that is also playing in this tournament. So big shout out to them. Great job. Oh, one more point from Dia.
1 kill.
They
just need 1 kill. They just need 1 kill.
Alrighty. But we will come back right after this break. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon.
Video games were definitely a source of tension in my family. They weren't really happy that I'm kind of starting to steer away from education and steer away from school.
I had a grind. I came here from nothing. I was never in the spotlight. In fact, it's something that's very new to me.
Esports isn't for now. Esports is for 100 years from now. Just like the NFL 100 years ago when the NFL was starting up. Like, what is this? People hitting each other for fun? And look at it now.
Anything worth doing in life is always going to be hard. So I knew that this was going to be difficult. I just didn't know to what extent.
27 seconds to go. This round is
I was dealing with all these things, and I had to keep a facade of everything is fine. And there came a point where the facade just cracked.
Quitting esports was the easiest option.
That year was probably like the worst year in like a very long time. There was like a huge falling out with like gaming in general.
Everything was going great, and one day I had gotten a call from my sister, and she was crying, and she was just saying, Mom can't walk. Like, get over here, like, Mom's not walking, like, she can't walk. I'm sorry.
And then my dad asked me, he says, so what are you gonna do about it? Why do you gotta tell me that? Why can't you just tell me to give up? But he didn't, so I didn't.
Through all like the lows, to knowing like this is something I've always wanted since I was young, and I've been a gamer my whole life. I've been in esports since I was like 15, and knowing that everything I do now is like culminating to like this person that I've kind of always wanted to become, it makes everything worth it.
Esports.
Esports is home. It's everything I've ever known.
I am really good at speaking the English language and saying words.
My name is Jake Sandrick, also known by Holiday. I play for RCO Esports.
You are dropping solo trios on Stormpoint. Choose P2020, Mozambique. Only weapon for the entire game.
I'm gonna do the P2020 just because I want a little range. If it's my only weapon, I want to be able to have some mid-range and close range. And am I getting hammer points?
You get whatever you find, but you just get the one weapon.
I would pick the P2020 over the Mozambique just for, if that's the only weapon, I want a little bit of range too. I can still put out some damage.
My name is Eddie and I play for Rise Empire.
What is your favorite of the 4 maps?
Damn, that's a good question, man. I'm gonna have to say, definitely not World's Edge. Definitely not World's Edge, I'll tell you that much. Stone Point is a close second, but I'm gonna have to go with Olympus. Yeah, man, the cars, I'll be driving fast, man.
Are you our next Trident race champion?
Hell yeah, get me on a racetrack, I'm dusting everybody in here.
My name is Patrick and I play for team Rise Empire.
Let's say that you are gonna be dropping onto Kings Canyon. What POI are you gonna choose 99% of the time?
Maybe a rig, maybe capacitor even, you know, a few charge towers there.
Alrighty, now you're dropping on Stormpoint. What is your POI there?
Somewhere with the IMC armories, we're landing Lightning Rod, so hopefully we can, you know, get the armories over there and all that stuff.
So you do armories first, loot later.
Yeah, have us expanded in the not region, but like area. You know, a few people land buildings, and then one of them on the IMC only.
I'm McLovin, and we're playing for Team Int.
Who is your main?
I main Horizon or Seer. I like to play Octane for fun sometimes.
What is your least favorite part about Horizon?
I don't really have one.
Think she's perfect?
Yeah, I think she's good. Her Q could be nerfed a little bit, but other than that, I think she's fun.
All right, he loves milk. Love to see it. Welcome back, everybody. We are here. I am joined by Yeso and Taz. Great cast, by the way. Loved it. You guys gave us some awesome coverage of our first 2 games this morning on World's Edge. And, well, the very first 2 games that were guaranteed, no future is guaranteed now for these teams. We've got Stormpoint. We might only have one Stormpoint, Yeso.
Yeah, so we talked about it at the top of the cast, and Stormpoint really has been like the great equalizer this weekend, right? We had the dominance from Blackhand on World's Edge all weekend until that last game, but 3 different winners on Stormpoint yesterday, and one of them was Nightmare. So I'm expecting a very interesting next 2 games, because I'm going to call it right now, we're getting at least a 4th game.
Oh, alrighty. Yeah. Tess, what do you think? And how are you feeling about RCO?
I'm feeling good about RCO. I always kind of am of the opinion that RCO is a team that when they start getting going, they are good. They start feeling good. They start getting in their groove and do great things. I think, honestly, I agree with Yeso. I think we're getting at least a game 4. I think just Stormpoint has been all over the place in terms of who's been winning. Blackhand, they won a lot of the World's Edge games. They really did not do as well on Stormpoint, and I think we at least get 1 extra game.
Alrighty, yeah, so looking at the leaderboard, right, we've got Nightmare, we've got Tyson, we've got Antimatter, all teams that are close enough to be able to get to that match point threshold, but it's got to be only if some team other than Black Hand, Atlanta Premier, RCO win the next one. What are our percentages? What do you think percent-wise that a team other than those win? You say it's for sure. You think 100%?
So I'm not insane. I'm predicting it, but I'm not saying 100%. I'd say there's a 76.5% chance that we get a fourth game. Yes.
Got it. What's your percentage?
It's 63.8.
63.8. Alrighty. I'm gonna go one step lower. I'm gonna say 57.766 repeating. And that is going to be the final sort of export here before we throw it to the casters who are about to cover it. So what could be the final game on Stormpoint? Let's go ahead, take it away, Zia and Deferus.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the casting desk. I suppose as the analyst desk have named us Zia and Deferus, but I will say, Dia, Zephyr, in case you were not familiar, we're about to break down the first game of Stormpoint, the first game where these teams are unlocked. We saw Atlanta Premier last game running things like the Mad Maggie, and I think they were having a little bit of fun with their victory, you know, saying, we've got enough points to secure match point, but now they actually can walk away with the prize. So let's see if they can do it.
Right, and it's not just Atlanta Premier. Obviously, we're working with teams like Black Hand as well, who, of course, found performance throughout today, and also one of the only wins that we have seen here today earlier on World's Edge, of course, but also RCO. Your prediction to begin with at the start of the Summer Champs here.
Domine Santi, RCO. They can do it. They can technically do it. And actually, I do think that this is where RCO should be more comfortable, because having spoken to them yesterday and even the day before about how they expected to perform, they're a zone team. They don't like going for all these kills, and the meta of this tournament has been really difficult for them, where edge teams that are constantly hunting for kills are succeeding and are rocketing themselves up to match point. Now they've actually got this secured, they don't have to worry about stepping to the beat of everybody else's drum, and they can really focus on what they do best, setting up in the zone and winning the game.
But remember, teams that don't try to play around some of the aggression on the outskirts don't end up set up in the best of situations. When we talked to Sleepy yesterday, he said you can't really sit in zone sometimes because at the end of the day, you're sitting on what is that blue shield once we get into the zone 5, and you're nowhere close to a competitive state. But as y'all can see, Dropship making its way through here. Stormpoint and Atlanta Premier have been landed on.
Oh my god, I mean, we joked about it, but I didn't think it was going to happen already. We're saying, you know what, this is going to another game, at least if this 50-50 does not go the way of Atlanta Premier. They got a pretty nice drop, though. I'm looking for at Enemy right now, and with a Prowler and a 301, I know Enemy can do a lot.
Yes, more than comfortable in this situation. Things I'm really going to be starting to look at here, too, is especially the setup for these teams. Atlanta Premier no longer working with the Valkyrie. They've switched to the Newcastle. They are starting to try to set up more directly for that zone. Remember, they were big on the triple recon coming into the games yesterday. This time around, you can already see trying to survive.
Yeah, I like this move. It allows them to have a lot more security in end games, where Newcastle provides a lot of effective HP to your position. However, their position right now seems to be mostly, hey, screw you, don't land on us. And right now, Enemy's done a really good job of being able to keep this team off their backs. Doesn't have a lot of ammunition, but it seems like the call is to go for this. A risky call for Atlanta Premier, but I'm down for it if they are.
Yeah, at this point here, they've shown they can easily take any 3v3 that they propose to be an advantage for Antimatter. I can't say the same. Best pupper, the IGL, already down. Liko and Tremstacks left to defend here on the push. Premier slowly breaking their way in.
We basically just watched Pepper get erased, and we may very well see the same happen. Crook gets the read on the last couple remaining members, is going to be able to run them down, or at least push them out to whatever degree they would like, and as a result, Atlanta Premier find themselves on the northernmost end of this first zone, with an armory right next door, should they even need to approach it.
Tremstacks down as well. It is just left up to Lily here, but it's one additional point for Atlanta Premier likely to work with, and we've seen the drops here across Stormpoint. there's not many squads that are likely to kind of find their way towards the north pad-esque wall kind of exit area to capitalize on this situation. So very, very safe.
That's a one-bullet kill right there. Wow,
Wait, now it really is.
A half a bullet, a strong breath of air would eliminate our first team, but we're not getting that just yet. Atlanta Premier mounting up in the trying to chase this. I don't mind the strat at all, but Lily, I'm sure, is going, come on, guys, give it a break. Atlanta Premier, they're not. They've got no reason to. 12 teams left. They've done the same thing.
Oh, right there, they pass by Lily, and the minute it happens there, Lily is on the way out. You can't quite run from enemy, but just outside of the range of the scan.
We've still got the passive marks, which are really nice. The Atlanta Premier are chasing down this kill. If I'm honest, Zephyr, doesn't really impact the state of the game. It's nice for them to get the additional kill. I'll take it, but the game is happening around us as we speak. Teams are vying for position, and Atlanta Premier aren't part of that game right now. Instead, they found themselves up towards the north, and with the command center ending, Tyson actually have a pretty good opportunity to make an early rotation in.
Right. At the end of the day, it's never confirmed what team will find their way out on top, especially on Stormpoint, where we've seen the biggest diversion from the norm in terms of our winners here. Now, this zone is particularly interesting. Doesn't usually allow a lot in play, especially towards that POI command center, usually finishing either on the outside towards the west or where I'm currently thinking you could see Pickles from the contested roster there right in front of the hillside.
And I really like their position. It'll give them a nice overlook, specifically speaking of the contested roster, in terms of being able to get the zone scan that's right below them and bide their time until this end game. For right now, control of the high ground is going to be your best friend, but because you're always outside of command center, you've also got to be looking behind your back on the inside and saying, okay, well, is there a team that is trying to play a little bit flexible, see which side they want to come out on, maybe just knife us in the back.
Right. Until that zone closes and you know for a fact those entrances are blocked, I mean, playing through one of those areas is extremely risky. And we see a lot of teams, especially those who are more zone-oriented, RCO, right, set up towards that high ground fairly early and then might get punished due to a late rotation. For now, though, this is the fight we have to watch. Atlanta Premier right alongside Blackhand, two potential winners coming into this game.
And to be honest, I can't believe it's happening. Atlanta Premier, they've rotated down south away from the ring to find themselves with Blackhand. Atlanta Premier know the Blackhand drop over by Mill. They've opted into this fight, but now they gosh darn well better win it, Zephyr. Already a Thermite right in front of them stops the push from Blackhand for a moment, and Atlanta Premier have the high ground.
Might be above, but they still aren't a chase away here. Gazto with a bit of a beam. They've forced the rest of Premier outside of the building for now. Still trying to break their way through, but from the other angle there, Voltic takes quite a beam.
Shub is doing such a good job on this Newcastle, though, protecting his teammates as they need to make a hasty exit through the bottom. On the last floor, Atlanta Premier still retain that height, but having to peek down, especially as the zone closes, could cause problems. Recon Legends come in handy, though, as Bloodhound scan gives them everything they need to know, and Atlanta Premier hit the ground, guns a-blazing, only to not find a knock, only to be stymied even further. Newcastle wall forward pushes Blackhand back. God, they almost go down on the way out, but I think that Newcastle wall went off in time, and indeed it did. Atlanta Premier are not giving up on the chase. They've got that heal interrupt up in 3 seconds. The Bloodhound scan up in 2, but they don't even need it to take down Voltic to start eviscerating Blackhand. That's Blackhand taken out. That's one match point team that won't be finding the win today.
And we talked about this before we got into Stormpoint. This is the map that Blackhand have consistently struggled with, have not found a win here, where Atlanta Premier are on the opposite end of the fence. I don't know exactly what it is about this map, the level of chaos that exudes the struggle here for Blackhand, but it has once again reared its head. You only have to hope now that teams like Tyson and Nightmare have got your back.
And it bears repeating that Atlanta Premier picked this fight, just like they picked the one at the beginning, with no ammunition. Their confidence is through the roof this game, and you can understand it based on the past 2 games, but even so, it's impressive to see them pushing the pace even against some of the best teams in lobby during this, what could be final round. Tyson, they're pushing that pace a little bit as well, albeit more
conservatively as they sit right outside of their original POI, have not moved too far from it, now are having some trouble actually rotating up to command center.
Seems like we have a bit of a mix here. Tune in with Nightmare, pressured in their own right. Seems like they've got quite an angle, though. Bursty on the very highest ground here to try to pressure from above. Looks like Portal comes out there from Ryan. This will likely get Borton into a place of safety, and hopefully with the reset back off. Remember, this area is quite expansive in terms of rotation, so the tunnels can provide some safety, but not quite like that. McLovin from behind, a drop with the wingman. The rest of Team Int continuing on their pursuit.
And as Int run down Nightmare, we've still got Bursty on the high ground healing up. The rest of the team is dying around him. And unfortunately, there's not much that you can do sitting outside of zone with that syringe pumped up. Team Int end up taking down one member of the squad and are still pushing down the other right into where we saw Tyson looking at earlier. There are two teams down here. And it's going to stay as 3, not 4, as that last member ends up falling.
It looks like our Not Sure squad has finally been pushed upon, as we made mention of. You saw in that kill feed, Tyson picking up some of those kills. Contested, though, also arriving as well from the low. Haven't quite finished this fight off yet, but now have to be careful. There are multiple teams making their way in from the multiple entrances. This is exactly the point we set up at the beginning.
Joey, the high ground just turns around on him as from behind, multiple squads come in. Even Z Davis now trying to disengage, finds himself ratted on from behind. Fortunately enough, is able to survive. He and Oxy make the great escape, the great disengage for the moment. And you gotta hope that Tyson can re-enter this fight as it continues going on. Double habitats on the height. This is far from over.
Davis is back up for now. We'll see if they readdress or at least try to find a recovery towards their third. We tune in, of course, with that IMC Armory greed from Atlanta Premier, getting themselves set up for the fights that lay ahead here. Contested, though, have been pushed back.
Oxy almost found that knock uncontested as well. Just one would open this up. Even inside, contested aren't safe. The window's very risky in these types of buildings, and I'm sure they're wanting to disengage, but simply have no way to do it. Butters gets melted from the window, and Oxy's doing a lot of really good work. He had some struggles in game 1, warming up with the rest of the squad, but right now, he is firing on all cylinders, and it's exactly where Tyson need him if they want to walk away with this win, if they want a chance of putting themselves on match point.
Seeing them aggressively make their way out of this exchange leads me to believe that they sourced out the banner and are likely looking for a revive, whether it be going towards potentially the crafter to source that out, or maybe one of the POIs that has that eligible. For Atlanta Premier, they're done with their excursion in the IMC Armories, have finally made their way towards this zone. We tune in with RCO. Playing this one, albeit a little bit slower. We are, in fact, yes, getting the zone pull towards the south of Command Center here for RCO. They're happy with their current spot. It's great high ground, allows for coverage over the western side, no-name village here, and a northern high ground rotation.
C Davis, he's so low. Atlanta Premier aggressing onto this, may just be able to take out Tyson, and we've just hit the respawn as well, knowing full well that there's a squad sending on this. Tyson are bringing another member back into the fight as they get one dropped as well. Z Davis is out for the moment, finished off by enemy. But Joey's back in the game, and you've got to hope it's worth it.
This is tough here. Now Atlanta Premier have free access towards this side of the map, and likely that high ground kind of cliff side that allows for rotation towards the southern side of the circle, especially if they're able to defend against teams like Contested on a rotation of their own. We do see Atlanta Premier, though, very heavily extending towards the direct Cascades area, maybe likely to finish up, get some final crafting in there, get some resources, but no, instead, it is a revive that they spot out.
They're just abusing Temple. The squad that only needs one kill will instead be slain. Habsy gets taken out, though there's one member of Temple remaining. This game's gotten so much harder for them. Is there actually a res ship coming in from above? Atlanta Premier just waiting,
Denim.
just jumping on these kills as Denim unfortunately falls, but Temple are still in this. I haven't seen that notification yet. One man stands.
No idea where Buka is right now, but Atlanta Premier don't seem to be giving this one up. While they haven't crafted at Cascades, I'm sure that they found the resources that they might have wanted. And there you go. You can see ahead 2 notable rats there. Joey and Buka both in play. I will say Joey does have Oxy Aries still well within his realm, and I think they've carried themselves towards the north, but oh! That's notification you don't want to see. Nightmare down. That's one of those squads that was searching at least for some reign of control over the match point.
Really unfortunate for them, of course, and it's an important high ground that we touch on with the beauty shop right now. One that we talked about earlier is teams are going to be prioritizing this height right outside of Command Center. Black Hand V, A, B, whatever you want to call them, have done this really well, and as a two-man, I've got to hand it to them. This is well done. It's up to Tyson with just Oxy Aries, a Kraber, and a Dream to reverse their fate. Already they've gotten Z Davis, but with Joey again taken out of the game, it is just not a day to be a Tyson fan.
No, it is not. I feel like you're rubbing salt in the wound there with that one. At the end of the day, it's very unlikely, though, that Tyson are successful in getting any kind of recovery for this squad, especially now that they are forced Oxy Aries to move towards the edge of that zone. And this one hurts now. You can't extend time in it to find a very late revive and then work your way in. We tune back in with RCO. Haven't been forced to move as of yet. Still have good control over the Stormcatcher area. Looks like they have spotted out a team from below, potentially making their way in.
I really like the way that RCO is spread out right now. They know where the next zone is pulling, where the power position will be, but they're controlling the edge and the center of that zone at the same time. They're spreading out with their mobility. Well, LAN to Premier are fighting this one on the way up from the low ground. I like their chances. This is actually the choke where they 2v3'd yesterday, but this time they're not taking as much of a risk, recognizing this could be the very last game of the tournament. You've got to play for the win more than anything else, and height is king.
Buka there, just holding his breath from behind as he allows Atlanta Premier to walk their way forward up the hill. I will say, albeit they make their rotation towards the western end, this is more difficult for Atlanta Premier. They don't quite have as many teams to deal with if they tried to fight towards the RCO area. Still, I don't think any level of aggression is stopping Atlanta Premier right now. They seem to be taking anyone.
So yeah, certainly not. We were wondering if they were going to play a little bit more conservatively. Their positioning, maybe. The fight's absolutely not. Enemy pops the quick reload and continues applying pressure just to make sure there's no chance for the two-man on the inside to heal up. And we always knew that with only 2 people in front of them, Atlanta Premier can certainly work with that.
And at this point, a third of the teams in our lobby are match point eligible. There is a 33% chance that one of these squads walks away with the win here on Stormpoint, and overall the win for Summer Champs.
Contested took away a big W yesterday. Can they do it again to keep us going? From right next door to Command Center, they've got a decent spot, but so much open ground lies between them and the next ring. So much, not unplayable, but so difficult to play terrain. Little rocks that you've got to make use of, and with them on the Newcastle, you've only got so much effective HP between you and, well, teams that want to take you out.
Let's start talking about this zone here. RCO have finally moved away from Stormcatcher and are within the building itself. Not quite in its entirety, still trying to hold angles on both ends. It's very likely that we saw Team Revenge still trying to kind of pressure their way and make it up from the same side as RCO. So they can't quite, in full confidence, cover just one angle, and that might be the bane of their existence. But with Temple Esports being eliminated and Buka taken out by Team Revenge, maybe they've breached towards the side of Atlanta Premier instead.
Yeah, and AP should know this. They've got folks watching their back right now as enemy watches the front. You're covering a lot of area. With only 5 teams left, you've certainly got the liberty to do so. The biggest thing that Atlanta Premier have to look out for is a team coming up behind them, perhaps opening them up for a third party. RCO, though, continue with this really nice control. And right now, even with Revenge coming up behind them, their high ground is relatively unthreatened. They've still got that Newcastle wall, and they've got angles on angles on angles over these other squads.
Well, right now for RCO, though, I don't know how long this will last. Yes, they've got a defensive position, but that is the target to be the place that you want above all else. And right now, you have 9 competitors all focused on the same entity. You can only hope here, especially towards the west and north, right side of Command Center, that they focus each other instead of you.
Revenge have got to be sneaking up behind this as well. The attention of RCO drawn to the other side. We've got another Newcastle wall laid down, and in they fly.
Wonder if they're going to be able to survive this or if they'll be opening up teams for a third party. RCO cannot get too greedy here. Firing up from the high ground. They've done a good job so far, but look at the artillery raining in around them. RCO need to play this perfectly as chaos erupts around this building, and Atlanta Premier pop the beast of the hunt and sit right next door.
Right underneath the position you want to be in. Atlanta Premier probably have one of the more difficult rotations, but the depth there of Revenge gives them a spot to play with right up against the wall. But I love this. RCO know exactly what's in store here. It's very likely that they're forced to push their way forward with Hill. That Newcastle wall probably going to come in on this next zone close.
Half of our teams are on match point right now. There's a 50% chance that this is the last game, and it's even greater when we consider the way that these teams have gotten here. Atlanta Premier not pushing the envelope too much. They are sitting back there, letting these head glitches do the work for them, as RCO have to contend with 3 different squads all around them. The burden is so unfair, but RCO, as you mentioned, know exactly what's going on. They know who their biggest threats are, and we've just got to make sure that nobody else around them throws a wrench in this plan.
I was about to say, one of the wrenches that does exist here in our hardware store is Contested. The only squad to actually pick up a win here yesterday on Storm Point, other than teams like Atlanta Premier and Nightmare. So definitely a winner that could potentially come through. They found their way into the building, though, which I personally am not that big of a fan of. It allows for safety for now, but on some of these zone chokes, it might be too pressure to make moves.
Quite worried about it, that's for sure, especially with Atlanta Premier needing to cover a lot of ground. The additional pressure that Contested will provide in conjunction with RCO may actually keep AP out. Keep your eyes on the windows right now. They've still got only a very little amount of ground to cover, but they've got just enough cover right here.
Very lucky. Very lucky there. I thought they were going to be forced even further up. I will say, it's no better. Atlanta Premier are still very pressured in this situation, but it's likely that they're allowed to survive through what might be some extended skirmishes. You could have Int make their way and Contested to fight as well, and then potentially that kind of third party that we know Atlanta Premier for on some of their wins.
Nice moves with the mobile shield, though, preserving the health bars of Atlanta Premier, keeping them topped up in the meds. RCO haven't been so lucky. They are taking poke from every single direction, and we've got to wonder about the state of their medication right now. How well are they set up for an endgame fight if this continues to extend? These 4 teams are going to be forced together in the next 15 seconds, but it is going to be slow, it is going to be excruciating, and it will be punishing for the teams that are not quite set up properly to be able to manage the 3 different threats that each of them have to contend with. RCO are fully focused.
I look towards Int, though. Int on the current edge of that pole there towards the southern side. Everyone else, Atlanta Premier's got a rotation, though, to pull off. Mobile shield is utilized to get them a bit further forward. Holiday takes to the skies, maybe to find some damage, but nothing, as from behind, RCO are forced to back up Team Int, putting in damage. AP have finally made their way towards the fence, towards the foundation.
Nice additional data provided with the habitat as well. Atlanta Premier cling to life on this low ground, refusing to engage with any squad until they are ready to seize that victory. From here, Int have been forced up onto the height as the round continues to close, and RCO sweating, dripping buckets on top of the building. Pray that one of these teams eliminate the other.
It's got the castle wall down. This is their last utilization of defense here before they're forced to make an even further rotation, pretty much right into the open there. Both Atlanta Premier and RCO will have sightlines, but the big question here is this door will no longer be available for defense for a squad like Contested from below. We've got 3 teams that are all going to be forced to fight the minute this move comes through. Premier, castle wall down, but the shots from RCO!
The angle is just a little bit too far forward, and RCO finally dropped down. They give up this high ground to eliminate Atlanta Premier, and right around the side, they've got the makings of it. Atlanta Premier are out, but RCO are cornered. Holiday takes to the skies, cannot survive. Panda's out. We're going to another game as Contested and Int fight it out. Butters, sitting behind the Newcastle wall, gets pushed up on, turns it around instantly, and it's just between these last 2 squads. Contested with the PK, almost able to land the shots, but Floop can't do it. Instead, Team Int take their first win of the weekend.
Team Int here with arguably the hardest position to play in that final zone. They just tried to survive until the very last possible moment. Something that I absolutely love from Team Int that we have to make mention of is they were working with little to no resources there to extend as much as they could once that round 6 close came about. Notice that castle wall there from McLovin in the end. He could have dropped that down zone 4, zone 5 at any point against the skirmish that RCO were constantly peppering them. He did not. He saved it, made good utilization, and they played effective, especially with that zone pull and the force that you had all 3 of your opposers forced to tackle each other.
That was the most calculated endgame that I think we've seen almost the entire tournament. Looking back at this, these teams played so conservatively, refusing to engage with another and open themselves up to a potential tournament end. And because this tournament hasn't ended, we've got more games and we've got more analyst desk on the other side. Let's throw this one over to the big brains on the desk.
Wow, that is insane. But hey, I mean, they guessed it. It was 76.5% chance, and wow, I guess that 3/4 took hold because that was insane. Literally a repeat of the Harvester finish on Stormpoint Game 2 yesterday, where just 4 teams all together. There's a building. Everyone's sort of just like not ready to make that final move yet, but it was. I think the highlight of that was when Contested was kind of assisting in that RCO versus AP fight. You saw the Seer Q come out from the third party, right? And then as soon as RCO took that finish, that Team Int was like, all right, time to shine. And there was almost nothing that RCO could do after they finished off AP.
Tess, you go first. I got to catch my breath still.
Yeah, so I am a little frustrated because I'm watching RCO and I'm like, you don't drop there, right? Like, yeah, okay, that's AP, but you know that there are 2 other teams, and you drop there, you're giving up your spot. I feel like they dropped really early on that, and that's a little upsetting to me because I think they had an opportunity to take that. The longer that game went, the more I was like, okay, my percentage is going down. We are maybe ending here. But I know right now we have this Blackhand AP fight, and this was kind of where things got a little funky because we had our 2 really top teams just fighting it out in the ring. I was worried if AP was actually going to be able to get out safely from here.
Yeah, and this was really the start of the building of the storyline that this might be it, right? This might end the entire thing. Atlanta Premier might take it here because what you see so often in match point formats is teams get to match point and then they shift their play style, and I am personally not the biggest fan of that. I think if you have been winning games and finding success in a certain way, you need to find a way to keep making that work. Getting past that match point threshold and completely changing it up doesn't work. And so AP were on match point and said, we're going to play the same way. And I, despite the result, think it was the entirely correct choice. But RCO played their game. They know how to win games. This is exactly what Sleepy Panda told me yesterday. They put themselves in a position to do so. I do agree with Tess. Dropping down there, likely not the right position because you put yourself right between AP and 2 other squads, which is exactly not where you want to be. But guess what? We're getting another game today, and we've had some loud moments. We've had some pop-offs in here the last couple of days.
Yes.
This place has not gotten as loud as it did at the end of that game. Everybody in here was on the edge of their seat, and when Team Int picked it up, it exploded in here because they knew more Apex to come.
Absolutely, especially because the main thing to take away from this is that even though none of our top 3 teams won, right? There was only 3 chances for this to end right there. None of them won, but the biggest thing, none of the other teams passed the match point threshold there. Yeah. So we still have only the same top 3 teams with eligibility to win in the next one, which means should we get a repeat of this Game 3, we could be going on to Game 5.
We could be going back to World's Edge, and that's kind of great for Blackhand. And also, I think Blackhand after that game were like sitting there like, please somebody else win, please. We messed up. We need another shot.
Yeah. Then this could be, Blackhand's shot. And hey, we learned from our terrible time on Stormpoint 1. Maybe Stormpoint 2, we come through, right? But
yeah.
Maybe they just try and stall for World's Edge again. You know, maybe that's the ticket. Get to a game 5.
We do that.
Absolutely. And you know what can help them do that is with a Mavix gaming chair. So absolutely with Mavix, the LMAX competitive advantage you've been waiting on, featuring cooling, heat, and massage. The LMAX will keep your gaming sessions going even longer with body temperature regulation and increased focus. Future of gaming is here. You can shop now at Mavix.com using code NSG to save $55 off of your Mavix gaming chair. And another thing that could help out is if you're at the top of your game with a Mobius monitor. BenQ has just launched 2 4K 144 Hertz gaming monitors with HDMI 2.1, and you can expect HDRI smart optimized realistic displays, smooth graphics with FreeSync Pro, and 2.1 channel immersive audio with a built-in subwoofer to a monitor. If you're ready for next level gaming, visit BenQ.com today. But guys, we still have more Apex Legends after this. We thought there was a chance that we wouldn't, but we do, and we're going to come back with it right after this break.
Yeah, my specific controller, so Battle Beaver is fully customizable. I use a smart trigger stop on my shoot just because it's just quick. I can tap it and go really fast as I want to go. And then actually on my aim, I don't have anything because I feel like sometimes I slip and hit the aim, and then with that smart trigger, it's just quick. And then I also just pull it all the way down to fully ADS. I use 6 actually programmable buttons on the back that I custom ordered. I set them up completely different things. I use jump, slide, heels, nades is all in the back, so I never have to move my thumbs off of the sticks to shoot.
Wow, I love that. So literally just always on the twin sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
So you're a keyboard player, right?
On good days, yeah, but on bad days, I switch to controller. You know what I'm saying?
Want to tell us about your peripherals?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I got gifted this keyboard, so I don't really know much about it, but it is an AM Pro 2, and I got my keyboard signed by a bunch of Valorant Pro players. I'm really a Valorant nerd, but it's all good.
Well, we can see that you're missing a few keys there. Looks like you lost control a little bit.
Bro, my dog ate my keys.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you.
So, controller player or keyboard mouse?
Definitely controller.
Alrighty, tell us about your controller.
This isn't mine. I actually left mine at home. I keep forgetting it, but so I'm taking one from Nerd Street. But it's simple, the simple regular Xbox controller. I like to have, a bigger controller instead of the regular PlayStation 4 controller or even PS5 controller. And just, brought up on Xbox. So.
Nice. So that's the same one you use at home?
Yep, basically. No Elite controller, just regular.
Wow, awesome. You can be a pro on just a regular controller. Shows you don't need the fancy stuff. Tell us about your custom keyboard.
So it's a Corsair M65 60%. I like it, it's really nice, and I have a G Pro Superlight as my mouse.
Nice, and so no customizations at all?
Nope, I bought it straight from the store, and I like it how it is. So.
Love it, love to see it.
I'm okay, no. This is a Tazare keyboard. I actually found out about it through one of my old friends who told me that they were giving them away on Instagram. And I thought it was a scam at first, and I was very wary, but it turned out to actually be pretty good. It was free. I had one break a few months back, and they gave me a free replacement. So huge shout out to Tazare for awesome keyboards. And then I use a Razer Death Adder V2 Pro as my mouse.
Nice. Think about upgrading to the V3?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I'm actually really enjoying it because the weight on it's like really good for me. I don't overcompensate from the weight, but I don't undercompensate either from it being too heavy. So it is pretty good.
Awesome. So going pro on a free keyboard. This seems to be a recurring theme. Tell us a little bit about your keyboard.
So I built it myself, sort of. It's kind of all hot swappable. It's a GMMK Pro with banana split switches and then some keycaps that I got off of drop.com. And then for my mouse pad and my mouse, it's an Artisan Hien that's soft, and then a Final mouse.
Nice, dude. The Final mouse is beautiful.
Oh, yeah, no, they're nice. I usually use the G Pro wireless because they're a little bit bigger for my hands. But I swapped over to the Final mouse to see if the weight changed anything, and it's been working so far.
You think it's worth like the weightless, the price premium, everything?
Yeah, I think the old ones aren't. The new one that's coming out that is getting shipped out sooner or later is definitely worth it from what I've heard, so I'm glad I've been making the switch.
Awesome. Great to hear. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm Roy, and you're watching Nerd Street Champs.
Welcome back, everybody. I got different shirt and different hair to that video that you were just watching, but we're still the same desk
Quick
here.
change. Time traveler Artie.
Exactly. Joined here by Yeso and Tess for, well, I feel like this is the match that shouldn't have happened, but here we are. We're about to have some more Apex. Who doesn't love Apex?
I could not agree with you more, and we have to really set the stage here, and you did a little bit of it at the end of our last segment, Artie. Same 3 teams on match point: Atlanta Premier, Blackhand, RCO. They can all end it in Game 4, but the biggest storyline, I would say, is the teams that can keep the day going and jump up to match point. Very key, the 2 you have to mention. Nightmare 5 points away, Tyson 10 points away.
Exactly. You can't discount them, right? I mean, they've both been doing so much day 1 and day 2. Tyson, especially today, they have been doing a lot to put in that work. We don't want that work to go to waste, right? 10 points, that's it. As long as we can get another game like that where we get Tyson picking up those 10 points, maybe them winning or maybe another team winning, right? We could possibly be going back to World's Edge. I didn't think that would happen.
I was optimistic about a next game. I don't really know if we get another one of those. I think it was kind of a little bit of a coin toss, and I feel like you do a second coin toss, it's 50-50, you know, what comes up. Now, that said, it is, like we've said a bunch, Storm Point. It is crazy. It can be anything.
And that Storm Point game is going to be starting now, so let's take it over to Zeph and Dia to cast that next game.
Zia.
What is, in all honesty, Zephyr, probably our last Storm Point game. Because if we go to World's Edge after this, there's no way we make it out of World's Edge, right? But we would have said that going into last game. The chances of this happening, so infinitesimally small. And now we get to set the stage for what is essentially round 2. Like you mentioned just before we went to break, Tyson, Nightmare, they're coming up there, but...
Close.
Yeah, what are we thinking about their chances here?
I don't know about Tyson and Nightmare. This is not a hard bill to pass for either of those 2 rosters. 5-10 points is not that much to accumulate, but it is a point spread that they've had the chance to work with across all 3 of our earlier games today, and I don't know if it's going to be paying off here. At the end of the day, Blackhand went out fairly early in our Game 3, and now with the information, especially regarding Atlanta Premier, their rotation, their position that they might be working with, I think they play this a little bit more respectfully, which adds another X factor to our end games.
I'm certainly hoping so. Dropping at mill, you get a lot of really nice loot, but there were what I'll call 2.5 POIs that Atlanta Premier had hit by the time these 2 teams finally encountered each other. This time, however, the same situation, unlikely to arise since the zone is pulling to the southeast. Both these teams can rotate in almost a direct line in, albeit likely curving around the outside.
Right here, this time around, Atlanta Premier is left alone on their drop. Antimatter has opted to actually send it more towards Command Center, where Tyson usually plays out of. We'll have to see if a skirmish comes out through there. Obviously, though, Blackhand completely alone as well. No one's kind of briefing, or we'll say metagaming the current situation against any of our match point teams, even RCO at Barometer.
A nice advantage for RCO as well, because they've got that zone read right next to them. The beacon at Barometer will let them know, even though they're right next to the zone already, how much further they have to go, if they even have to move really at all. A rotation up through Jurassic Park would be really nice for this team, and the center of the map, just like yesterday's Zephyr, is still almost entirely empty.
Yeah, no one is currently landing there. Obviously, though, when we start looking at this circle, I'm not actually looking for the center map rotations. I want to see some more presence towards the south, right? We've got a little bit of that kind of emphasis towards the launch pad area and some of the hillsides towards the direct southern end, where you get that big grav cannon
right? And that's sometimes where that zone does finish off, and teams are eligible for a very, very dominant level of control from that high ground.
And interestingly enough, when you mention high ground, I'm still really expecting places like Stormcatcher and the surrounding area by Command Center to be lit up, to have fights going on by them at all times, because rotations up to that high ground are going to be really well rewarded. With Tyson already picking a fight, however, the height is contested and it's one that'll lead them directly over Stormcatcher. Gibraltar Bubble on the other side seems to be signaling that they're fighting Antimatter, one of our only caustic teams in the lobby right now. If Tyson can win this, they've got a good shot at the end game, but Joey pushing forward as the Gibraltar Bubble expires, whips around the side, takes that R99 out, and is already finding Flesh. Z Davis extends a lot, almost gets taken out, but now alive and executing the finisher on Best Bupper. He's got full shields and is ready to take out the rest of Antimatter.
Looks like Antimatter are likely done in their own excursion, but for not sure, they've also arrived to see what they can find from this Tyson. I like the read. Almost immediately you see that all that aggression that they have has now wavered. They pull back. They don't want to be putting themselves even further forward to eventually die. Antimatter is, though, finished out finally by Angel.
2 of those kills going to Tyson, 1 going to Not Sure, and I guess it's worth mentioning, Not Sure also running a little bit of an unorthodox composition. They've whipped out the Ash and the Vantage to bring us a little bit of spice into what could be our last game of the day, or what could allow them to throw an extra wrench into folks' plans. As Tyson do manage to retreat right back into Command Center, though, they've got plenty of exits. They are spoiled for choice when it comes to exiting through that low ground, or even using the gravity cannon to get a little bit of height right outside of Stormcatcher.
Surprisingly, Temple is still within the area. I'd expected maybe a little bit more larger of a rotation, as they also had tried to contest this only moments ago. But as we tune in with our zone, the map ahead, teams much more oriented towards playing directly for that circle. RCO has finally found their way out of Barometer and are making their way through this southern side like I was expecting. Still, 2 notables, Black Hand at Atlanta Premier, taking time towards the edge. We tune in, of course, Hand, bit of crafting.
It'll be really nice for them to have more sustain towards the end of the game, especially a game like we saw last time, and even more so taking your time on your rotation lets teams like Atlanta Premier move a little bit further forward. As Tyson do retake the height that they were previously contesting, there's nobody here anymore, but they will be able to make a much safer rotation if the path in front of them is clear through Thunder Watch and down into the low ground that way, which will give them height every step.
Yeah, especially if you go towards the rotation on launch pad, the back end. It's not the safest, especially if a team has set up directly in that POI and are spreading shots. But for an early kind of movement, I think it is very, very viable. Temple here have been within the area, but it looks like everyone else was lucky with the loot. Triple white shields here for this roster.
This is a rough time, especially
because there we go. Buka found one.
Especially because their rotation will have them running into a lot of teams on the way down. One of the things that stood out to me, of course, Team Int down by Launchpad do actually have a really nice spot, and one that will likely be rewarded by continual zone closes, since we're not going to be going up onto the hill just to the south in between there and Fish Farms.
Yeah. We did get to see, of course, a bit of pressure towards that IMCM from Atlanta Premier getting themselves set up, but we tune in. RCO have found themselves in a fight just outside Shipfall here, already working with a double knock. They're more than happy to finish the job on Team Revenge. And because this is as early as it gets here into the southern, where most teams aren't looking to go through, RCO are completely clean. They get a quick wipe and the freedom now to walk into Gale Station and decide exactly how they are to approach.
I really like that you mentioned Gale Station as well, because the instinct of a lot of teams would be to go straight up through Antenna, and that can be a chokehold that takes you out of the game entirely. So many teams fall going through Antenna, but moving through a place like Gale Station will be really useful. Tyson exemplifying, I think what you talked about at the start of the season, not even the start of the broadcast, how much value Valkyrie gets, especially when you're up on height.
For Tyson here, they're able to carry this one all the way, a deep dive towards the launch pad area, and luckily, there's likely no one directly within it, and they'll be able to take up whatever kind of high ground position, likely the one potentially on the bridge that kind of expands there itself, or maybe one of those buildings. Black Hand, though, starting to fight their way through the south as well. Could potentially be meeting up with RCO if they both choose to work their way into the same POI. RCO hasn't moved, though, yet. they've been crafting, setting themselves up. This excursion may be coming sooner than we think.
I really like the way that Blackhand have set themselves up on height as well, because they see that light cue that goes off as you're crafting, recognize exactly what's going on, and now have been able to get control of that care package, the miniature objective in their face. However, with teams behind them, I'd be hesitant as Blackhand to push up too far, especially since they're getting sniped from afar. Voltic still has shields, but really only ceremonial ones.
And that's Nightmare here on the very, very edge. This choke on the other side towards that POI that prevents them from that easy rotation that could have gate-kept RCO. Instead, they're forced inside towards Antenna, which is arguably, as you brought up earlier, the much more difficult place to play out of.
We'll see who controls the choke points on either side. Those teams coming through Jurassic and those controlling the rotation up through Launchpad now have a direct, if you'll pardon the almost pun, hand in the fate of Blackhand. They'll be able to really easily influence the scope of this game. RCO, having taken the Valk ult over Nightmare, who were sniping folks out just more recently, have still managed to find themselves a nice spot in ring, though. And though they take to the low ground here, this won't be too punishing, as teams are still way too far apart for it to matter.
I like this. Tyson, instead of Launchpad, they set themselves up on the hill just south of it. This is where I said the pull was likely to come here at the start of our game, towards that Grav cannon. They're working with the Watson of all things, something that a lot of rosters haven't been utilizing. This is a big flag in the air that says, go away, and likely something that makes that spot even more playable in the early game before you get the zone as this kind of pseudo wall that prevents all those teams from Gale Station in the south pressuring you.
And from a playstyle perspective, Watson goes so well with Tyson because of this very reason. They're a squad that likes to stick together, that doesn't like to separate too far, and Watson allows them to artificially control space in a way that with this early rotation is so well rewarded. Watch this large rotation around the side, though, from Nightmare B, as that could catch Tyson unawares.
Could come up from the other side here, the Not Sure roster. We'll have to tune in just a moment. Atlanta Premier, though, still taking their time. A little bit more of restraint in comparison to Game 3, albeit it wasn't something that really hindered them in most of their pursuits. I think they want to be even more set up to kind of come through as this last residing squad. But I say with this zone in particular, a late rotation can be especially difficult. You're kind of preying on the concept that some team forces resources to be expended from positions like this before you yourself are forced to, in most, other games that we've seen, climb up and take that one away, which is as difficult as it gets.
Not sure, still creeping up on Tyson right now. We know as viewers that they are as yet unspotted, but they don't have the seer or anything like that to give them additional data. Instead, this Vantage Ash Watson composition is going to have to do what it does arguably worst and try and siege up a hill. There's no defense, there's no reset, there's not really a lot of close range combat for them. It's more Hail Mary than anything.
Right, you go 1, 2, 3, you've got the sniper's mark come in, and then the drop to foul, you get the phase portal through, and hopefully the knocks that will allow them to capitalize on that space. But we both know how difficult that is. There's a reason why you don't typically see Vantage across and in play here. Looks like Blackhand VK, whatever it may be, has been pressured from the Atlanta Premier roster. We see them with not much help to work with, and the drop to follow. Crook with the knock from afar with the flatline.
Okay, I like it. It shouldn't mean anything in terms of the kills just yet, but Atlanta Premier are continuing to run this down, and the risk that they're exposing themselves to is the fact that Blackhand, just on the other side of Antenna, know exactly what's going on. They know how many teams are in here, and if Atlanta Premier push this too far, they could open themselves up to a third party. Watch the pings right now, as Crook's able to get a really nice scan in, opening up the path forward for the rest of the squad, and wisely is keeping an eye on this northeastern side.
Now, the big question for me is the position of Blackhand here. Now, did they make their way up towards that choke on the ridge, or did they pull out? Yes, towards somewhere else. It is the choke on the ridge. The house is here. They are now able to exude that level of control that you just brought up, especially with Atlanta Premier maybe likely to rotate right directly into them there. They do have enemy on that Valkyrie, though. A late redeploy from the other side of Antenna. Very, very common here in this zone in particular.
Blackhand V get taken out on actually this very same rotation that Atlanta Premier were making, tanking a little bit of damage from zone. Ronnie and Bursty have spotted this out. Concerned about the chances of Atlanta Premier since they will be entering this skirmish at half HP. Already a nice bit of damage done to Burton, but what really matters here is the fact that Nightmare know, and they're not going to let this happen without a fight.
No, not at all there. I say it confidently. Just redeploy. The kill feed, not sure, is officially eliminated from the Tyson roster, but from behind, our winners from last game already finding knocks there onto Oxy Ares. Nightmare still pressuring this choke here, but I think it is very likely that, hey, there you go, redeploy.
Joey's out as well. I'm watching the kill feed just to see if Tyson actually managed to survive this. It's 2 down, and even with all this space they've had on height, we've got to refocus into what could be another fight as Atlanta Premier were almost landing on RCO before they suddenly diverted. Enemy is still at half HP, and if Tyson weren't actively involved in a fight, you best believe the high ground is focused on them as well. As it is, Atlanta Premier are turning crap into gold, or at least trying to, sitting right on the outside of where RCO are positioned and still technically in ring.
I was about to say, luckily for them, this ring pole has drifted towards kind of this peninsula area here in Fish Farms. You want to be more directly on that kind of height that we just saw RCO playing there, usually to defend against rotations like this, but it does garner them the fact that you see all those squads on that southern hillside outside of Launchpad, you're not going to have to contest against them for your next rotation. You have a much simpler move ahead of you, especially if you save on to things like that castle wall.
Taking a look at the RCO rotation and just, you know, digesting, I think, what you've just given me. Because it has technically taken them out of ring, I think a lot of people would look at that and say that it puts them in a much weaker position. I don't mind it exactly because of the Newcastle wall that you were just mentioning for RCO. With Blackhand behind them, though, there are going to be other squads that are looking to take away your spot, and with round 3 still closing ahead of us, Blackhand are going to be involved in at least one skirmish that RCO could third-party, much like they did in Game 2.
But as you made mention of, this is an extent out of the position that was so dominant there. Tyson dropped in 8th. We can only wonder if they accumulated the 10 points necessary. I don't think it is particularly something that did happen.
Doesn't look like it now. You've inherited this great spot that Tyson set up for you. The Watson walls, the generator, they're still there, and a lot of height got given over to a team that didn't manage to set up there previously. Atlanta Premier, however, they're still fighting Nightmare, and these two squads are going to be ones that you've got to keep your eyes on as the team holding Grav Cannon right now, because either of them could walk up and take your spot, even both of them together.
Oh, we get a look at that round 6 zone there right in front of Atlanta Premier, completely dwarfing any kind of rotation that can come through from that northern area. You do have Nightmare slowly kind of working their way back towards that rock, that height that we talked about fairly early on. If they're able to get up there and start putting pressure down towards the eastern side where we currently see Atlanta Premier, that could be it for them, but it's likely either information that they don't have or something that they really don't want to risk right now. I will say, though, the minute that Nightmare hits 5 points, they should start metagaming. Start trying to eliminate and pressure squads that you know can win a game, since you need to see yourself towards that 5th.
They're already doing so much in terms of pressure as well. RCO know exactly what's happening right now with 3 teams right above them. They were going to get pushed, but by Valk ulting to try and get out of here, they've invited that push from Blackhand. Yasto sitting inside is buying space for Voltic and Shub to start taking over this building, and I really like the speed with which this has been executed. Blackhand could find themselves in a dominant position. Only RCO stand in their way, but you've got to be wary of that third party. Temple are still behind you. They still are looking for that 1 kill today.
RCO here don't have much time on that mobile shield, so they're forced to push themselves back further into this building. This is giving space here on the other angle, trying for more entrance, more cover to work with, but I think this is a death sentence for both Blackhand and RCO the more that they continue to fight here.
It certainly should be. A lot of other teams are going to be looking at this. They have very little to do outside of taking down Contested from that height, especially Team It should be looking at this and going, it's free KP for us, an ability to take out 2 match point eligible teams. Blackhand, however, they still get a nice angle, and Voltic lays down some initial damage, taking away the cooldown of that mobile shield that will be gone soon. The thing is, with the round closing, Blackhand don't have that much time to play this space and have no other positions that they can confidently take while RCO will remain behind them.
Oh, Black
We're
Hand,
locking him in?
I like this, though. They're going to block that door with the castle wall. A mobile shield down to prevent some damage to come through from their southern side. But for now, this is the rotation they have to care about. This fight ahead, that mobile shield providing so much in the choke, though, but for them as well, facing drops and an elimination from afar. Nightmare taking out 2 of our big names here.
Mutually assured destruction by these 2 squads leaves Atlanta Premier in the driver's seat, having coin flipped almost what turned out to be an excellent spot in ring. They've still got a power position and are using that 30-30 really well to zone out the squads above them. Nightmare could play upset here, but other than that, Atlanta Premier are our only team still in this game that are on match point.
I'm so proud of Nightmare. We discussed pushing for this position to lay pressure down against anyone and everyone. Going into that moment just before, it was a 50-50 that any squad you fought was match point eligible, and Nightmare likely knew that. The pressure that they put down towards that building is something that at least helps them towards that 5th game where, yes, now they as well are confirmed to be match point eligible.
Can Nightmare actually navigate this space, though there are 2 teams that have so much ground to cover, but Team Int have far less. Playing from the opposite side, they're the ones that have free time to fire down on Nightmare, who, despite the fact that they have red shields, still are going to be just as squishy when focused by 2 squads. Everyone's splitting attention right now, and as is tradition, trying to bait teams into taking the initial fight and then third-partying it, but it isn't going to happen this ring, and it may not happen for a while yet. It's a game of chicken.
AP starting to make their way out. Very curious to see where Hill sets up next. If Nightmare make the drop down here towards this low on the opposite side of the peninsula, take this fight, is a very, very possible situation that we do see Team Int wrap through for another win here on Storm Point.
Is there another Newcastle wall here? They just pop down and have one ready. They're everywhere. They're littering Storm Point, and it's the thing that's actually given Nightmare a really nice position. Ordinances are making that more complicated, but Burton's shield has yet to be broken. Watching the flank, of course, and the Thermite starting to stick away. Enemy's going to pull the trigger any minute now. Gets a lot of damage down, but not nearly enough to feel confident. Second Newcastle wall comes in. Nightmare are still holding on to life and pushing enemy back simultaneously. As the wall gets broken, Nightmare may have bought themselves enough time to reset from those ordinances, and we are continuing in this game of chicken that's left us with 3 squads in the final ring, 1 minute away from closing.
Enemy expending so much ammo though to pressure, but it's moving in from the other angle, right behind Nightmare. If Nightmare turn here, put any damage down on it, this could be for Atlanta Premier. Now, straight 3v3, both healthy.
They know exactly what's happening here. Atlanta Premier just after winning this fight. They haven't gotten to knock just yet, but the flatline from Cook does so much work. Eva comes out. His shield is broken, but no one's down just yet. First knock going to go down as the Atlanta Premier take it, and it's instantly traded back, leaving just Hill and Crook on Flash to take this out. Hill beams him with the car, turns around, and takes the win for Atlanta Premier. Atlanta Premier are your Nerd Street Summer Champions.
And that was as difficult as it gets. Team Int, we didn't even make mention of it. They had all of the shield swaps to work with in that final moment, right on top of the loot that had been provided there from Nightmare. It was as difficult as it got for Atlanta Premier, as they were forced to expend probably more than just the knock, the follow, just the 225 health necessary to find those drops.
Except for from a textbook location, their rotation in the mid game was garbage. They wanted RCO's position. They went, I guess we'll play this terrible fence. They did that and somehow kept rolling these really nice positions in zone. The move from Team Int, though, to sandwich Nightmare in the middle, that's what really let Atlanta Premier move forward.
Yeah, absolutely there. Team Int, I bet they had no idea. They have to send it at that point there because, I mean, they're just looking to go on to that next game and they take their bets. Their position is no longer good, and in their eyes, they're just hoping that the one team that they're trying to 50-50 happens to be Premier. And they chose the better spot, right? Because they think Premier, the more dominant team, is likely in a position that is of more control. Think about that.
Yeah, it makes total sense, and especially with anonymous mode on, things get really complicated in the end game. And it's worth noting that even in those final moments, Int still almost won. There was a collective 60 HP on Atlanta Premier to finish that game. It was this close, and that's exactly how Apex ends up playing out, right? It's a game of seconds. Wow. It's a game of literal slivers of health.
I had to check out the damage there just to see exactly how much was pressured in that final moment. We're talking thousands from each member to just, or my apologies, 1,000 plus accumulated in that final fight alone there to give Atlanta Premier their victory, not only in the game, but of course here at Summer Champs.
To reiterate, your Nerd Street Summer Champions just declared themselves the victors, but to break down how they got there throughout the season, throughout the day, throughout the weekend, we're going to toss this one over to our analyst desk.
That is it. Atlanta Premier finish it out. They grab the win in game number 4 of day 2, and they take it in the end. It was an incredible finish to this event, Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think both these last games were so much more tense than I was expecting, and I think you were expecting.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, just like, I feel like they were more tense than they really should have been. Like, there were a lot of points where it was just like, all right, we're coming in, and like these 3 teams, they're looking good, they're doing great for the day, and we weren't sure if we were really going to go further and further. And this game was just kind of wild, especially near the end there. I mean, like, we saw RCO and Blackhand just fight it out. We saw Nightmare actually gatekeeping Atlanta Premier for a while, and for a sec, I thought that that was going to be it. This is the one time we saw Atlanta Premier really running that Valk, and that was huge for them because it got them out of the ring. It got them out of being gatekept so hard. And here, you know, we see RCO just, they got those early kills. They were doing a really great job early on. As you can see, they took out Team Revenge, and then AP just kind of doing their farming thing they've been doing the entire tournament. But really, when it got down to the end, it was so close.
The margins were so tight, and this was the big deciding fight that really kind of set the stage for the end game. Was we get Blackhand and RCO absolutely throwing hands, and somehow RCO are the ones that actually come out of this. Nando clutching up,
but
they only come out of it for about a couple of seconds there because they get cleaned up. But this set the stage for like Nightmare in Godspot. But the thing was, Team Int were, you know, not like handshaking, but they were alongside AP applying so much pressure to Nightmare in the middle that Nightmare never got that opportunity to really take advantage of the position that they had. And then this final fight, so incredibly close. You see almost non-existent health on Crook and Hill, but they were able to get the final kills that they needed, and they finish with an incredible weekend. 172 points across 10 games, a better than 17-point average, and they take it all. Look at almost 100 kills.
Yeah, I know, like, Blackhand did a great job as well this entire weekend. I also want to give a lot of credit to that last fight there, because we were all sitting here at the desk, and we saw the start of the fight and said, all right, that's it, like, Atlanta Premier. And then the fight kept going. And we were like, hold on a second. Hold on. And eventually Atlanta Premier did end up pulling it out, but it was a lot closer than what the start of that fight ended up being.
Yeah, it was a very close fight, and we may be able to get a little insight on how things ended up because our good friend Artie is over with Atlanta Premier with a winner's interview. Let's see what's going on.
Alrighty, I am here with Atlanta Premier. Congratulations, you guys. Took the big victory here on day 2. Game, I was not expecting it to go this long, but hey, how are you feeling?
Amazing. Couldn't be more proud of the team and how we performed there to close it out at the end.
So what was the main thing that brought you in? Especially, you know, we had game 1 on Storepoint. Nobody was kind of expecting it to go that as long as it did, but, you know, what happened in that very first game, you know, bringing us into game 4?
We were playing for the end game and kind of just playing slow because we knew, I mean, we were running double wall hacks, so people were going to know who we were. So we were just playing slow, getting loot, and then just coming in God mode in the end game. And RCO, who is also on match point, kind of just threw their game to kill us. And, I mean, thank you, I guess.
Absolutely. But here, you know, game 4, like, you know, we finally made it to the end there, and it was Team Int, you guys. How did that last circle play out?
It played out exactly as we thought. We got, what, 3rd or 4th beacon scan, and we went south side, and it was going to be Godspot, and it was. But it was a little bit tighter than we expected. We wanted to leave right team alone so they would help kill left team, but we kind of let them get a little too close and get some armor swaps, and it was way closer than it should have been.
Absolutely. I mean, especially right at the end, we got 2 cracks, and then you guys got kind of low. Enemy, how are you sort of feeling in that very last fight?
I mean, I was a little stressed because when I seen like all 3 cracked in the top right, you know how it shows that, and then I seen all of them have armors again, and I seen all 3 of us like 50 plus HP, and I was a little nervous, but hey, my boys clutched up.
Absolutely. Just huge congratulations, guys. You really showed up and showed off on both days. Is there any final words you guys want to give the audience?
Shout out AP, shout out the boys, shout out Hacks. That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Big congratulations once again. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching the grand finals here of the Nerd Street Summer Champs. I have been Artie. Big shout out to my team. We got Thousand Eyes, we've got Yeso, Zephyr, and Dia, and all of the folks at Nerd Street. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will see you in the next Nerd Street Champs.